Hello and welcome to Season 2, Episode 10 of Blood on the Tamesis, a Vampire the Masquerade Chronicle set in Oxfordshire, England 2012. With me tonight,
Philip Bailey playing Silas Shaw of Clan Bruya.
Bex playing Velvet Clan Ventru.
Lane sitting at home playing Joanne Salt of Clan Toreador.
And Carlos also at home playing Theodore Penn of Clan La Sombra.
I should point out
we're in our normal order. I've only just realised that. Okay.
Well, that is the magic. How professional we are here, you know. Even
Professional,
when the world
yes.
is falling apart, we still get you in your proper order. So thank you for joining us tonight. Obviously, we are kind of still in this slightly weird state of affairs, so we've decided to bring Season 2 to a close rather than make you wait any longer, so we can all at least try and remember where we were and what we were doing. So we're going to move to a recap shortly, but before we do that, I just want to say a big thank you to Dylan and Carlos for sorting out all of the one-shots over the last few weeks. And this week is Mitch Appreciation Week. He is running our tech and keeping us going. So if you
Go
can
Mitch!
that'd be great. So without any further ado, let's get to session 10 because there's quite a lot to get through, and let's have a recap from the players.
Okay, so it was Velvet's birthday shortly after the games, so he hosted a party at the Coterie's Haven, where he attempted to recruit a number of people to his plan to do something, finally, about Wallace, something inverted commas. And that included Barnaby, who it turned out, prepared to speak to Anne for a price. Velvet also met secretly with Adam, who was understandably super angry with him about a lot of things. After they reconnected, Adam and Velvet chatted about whether or not he could help Theo out with his Bloodborne request.
Silas gifted Velvet a birthday on his birthday, which is a ring, which very much by chance mirrored Velvet's wedding ring, so had to be very awkwardly returned. He then took Miss Whispers riding on his motorcycle after she left the party, but returned to talk to him.
Take my breath away moment and everything. So Theo met with Sir William and asked to discreetly secure a large investment in his holdings in exchange for a boon. At the party, Theo spoke to Ota while Naoto was evading him. And then him and Velvet had a frank exchange of views on the matters of lordship. Joanne. Yeah, it's okay. Joanne.
No, wait, it's me. Sorry. Sorry, I just put myself on mute and failed. Okay, so then Joanne hates parties and tried to hide away, but Druty was there, so the two of them had a dance. Joanne also gave Amanda of Reading a medical report on Prince Drogo's injuries, and then we ended the session with her being asked to kill Jeffrey.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun,
Dun. I mean, a valid proposition, I think.
Well, we'll see what Joanne's intending to do with that. So we left things on Friday, the 20th of July, 2012, and we actually left things with Joanne in a park around 1 a.m. looking at a file showing the current location of Jeffrey, along with a request to get rid of him. So let's start with you, Joanne. So you're in the park, you have this file. What do you want to do?
Take a look at the address and see how far away it is.
So the address looks to be in Cowley. It's actually not very far from where Silas lives, you realise. Or lived.
Yeah, don't think I'm going to run into him at this time soon, so let's go.
Okay, so without hesitation, Joanne makes her way through the streets of Oxford. It is quiet. I mean, it is a Friday night, but there aren't that many people out now. It's after 1 a.m. However, in the area that you're in, there are quite a few students about. Luckily for you, we're currently in the summer break. So only those who've stayed over the holiday are around, which means there's very few people about. It is easy for her to find the house in question. In some ways, it will strike Joanne, knowing what she knows about Jeffrey, that this is not maybe as fancy a house as you were expecting to find. It looks actually like a fairly ordinary kind of Victorian style mid-terrace place. She will see from the outside that there are lights on. Currently, there's only a few clouds in the sky. The stars are out. It is not too wet. It is quiet. Quiet enough, in fact, that you can hear the faint sound of music playing from the house in question. What does Joanne want to do? How is she approaching this?
I think I'm going to have to wait until sound and music and all the lights turn off.
So you're just going to try and wait it out. Are you doing anything while you're waiting?
Not particularly, no.
Okay, so you're just going to literally just kind of stand and wait around and see. All right, so some time will pass for you. So we'll start. How long is she willing to wait for, by the way?
So you said it's about 1 a.m., yeah?
Yeah.
Probably about 2 hours.
Okay. All right.
Just because then that hits the threshold of I need to get back and having enough time to do this.
Okay. So time will pass. The streets remain quiet. Joanna's aware that it's not very cold because we're in the kind of the summer months, but nevertheless it is cold air. Of course, the cold does not bite her in a way that it used to. She's aware that it is colder. She is aware occasionally of movement behind the curtains, but it's not much movement. You maybe see an individual go by once or twice. Is she using any heightened senses or any other things like that?
I think maybe like 1 or 2 uses of heightened senses just to see if she can pinpoint how many people are in the house. But
All
if
right.
I can't kind of ascertain that from just heightened senses,
Give me a resolve and
Oh.
awareness with your bonus heightened senses dice roll, please. Seeing as we have this funky dice roller, we might as well see how it runs.
Use it.
Ooh,
Oh, how much is it? 4 successes.
nice.
Okay. So what will happen is, as you stand there in the quiet of the night, you will discern a number of things. One is that they are listening to a Blur album, and it's currently playing There's No Other Way. And the other is that you will identify that there are 4 people in the house. However, there is very little, in fact, virtually no conversation or movement going on at all. Seems to you like there are just 4 people just sitting there. You have the sense that at least one of them, if not a couple of them, are asleep. What do you want to do?
And the lights haven't gone off at any point during these 2 hours?
There aren't many lights on in this house, but there are still definitely a few lamps that are on. It's kind of softly lit rather than brightly lit inside. You think they are grouped together rather than spread out through the house. You're able to ascertain that. However, they are oddly quiet. That is the thing that will strike her.
I don't think I can risk it if I think they're grouped together, so I'm going to turn off heightened senses, make a note of the house and the situation, and I'm going to go. I can't risk it with all of them being grouped together.
So are you going to wait beyond 2 o'clock, or are you just going to leave at 2?
I think I'll wait until about 3, and then if not, I'll go.
Okay. So you will see when it gets to about 2:45, a young man will come kind of stumbling out of the house, looking like he's barely awake, and will start kind of making his way. You put him maybe in his late teens, early 20s. He's got a very silly floppy hairstyle, and he is remarkably pale. And he's kind of stumbling about. It is not Jeffrey. You're certain of that. He will not notice you, and he will just wander off down the road. He looks groggy and out of it. but in quite good spirits.
Do I have a picture of Jeffrey in this file so I know what he looks like?
Yeah, I mean, you've met Jeffrey many times. You know exactly what Jeffrey looks like.
And this is me as the player not being able to remember.
Oh, okay. So yes, you do have a picture, and so Jeffrey has a very neat kind of side parting. He is quite scrawny, and he's normally preppily dressed.
Yeah.
You know, and quite conservatively dressed, often with a collar that seems a bit too tight for him. However, this guy stumbling out is just wearing like a
Definitely not,
shirt
yeah.
and trousers. Is a bit taller than Jeffrey, but is fairly scrawny as well. So I assume, are you going with your original plan and just retreating, leaving them to it?
Yeah.
So Jeffrey
If the lights don't turn off, if the lights don't go off, I'm gonna go. I can't risk it.
So just as you're starting to leave, like it's 3 a.m. and you're starting to get a bit like twitchy, I should get back, I should get safe and all of that, the lights do go off. However, you're fairly sure that there are still 3 people in the house.
Yeah. It's the summer night, so it's closer to like
It is,
6
yeah.
when
The
the
sun is
night
only
sun would start to come up.
Yeah, it's not long. I mean, you've probably got the sun coming up around 5.
No, I can't risk it. I need to go.
In the middle of summer. Okay, so Jeffrey gets to live another night, and
One more night, yeah, maybe.
you return. You return back. So elsewhere in another part of town, Adam and Velvet are obviously having fun, but we're not going to come to them just yet. We'll memoriam the end of their scene, and what we're going to do instead is we are going to pick up. Now, Joanne, just want to check in with you. Are you doing anything radical immediately, or are you going to leave it a while before you?
There was a remorse, the scene with the remorse roll I wanted to do, but that can just be done at any point, right?
Oh, as in there's a remorseful scene you wish to do?
Because I had the remorse roll and I feel bad about it.
Yeah, sure. And is this going to take place at Denton's grave,
Yes.
inverted commas, the mound in which
Yes.
you buried him in your back garden?
Yes.
Sure. All right, let's jump to that now then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's when she knows that everyone else is gone, like, or just out for the night, she's just gonna walk over to the grave and look down and just say, she never wanted this, you know? She harbored the feelings against you and all the shit you did in life, but she'd never do this, she'd never want this, she'd never act on this. And all those people, I'm sorry. Look, I've realised that now maybe, after seeing what I saw in his eyes, am I sending an innocent man to his death? Is the prince really the... I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Joanne. Let me borrow your body for a little bit longer. We're so close. I'm just going to leave.
Okay. So let us jump to Theodore. Now, Theodore, you obviously have had some requests from Sir William, which involve you finding a great deal of money.
Yep.
And to do that, I believe your plan is to try and free Miyuki up from her current thing so that she can help find a great deal of money.
Exactly.
She's currently involved, obviously, in a project for you. So what I would like, and I believe your intention is to try and 2 projects, indeed.
Yeah, but one was the Haven, which was a critical win on the...
Yes, so she's not required to actually put her time into that because it was such a good
She's
launch.
just like, she's doing like oversight of that, but it's not taking any of her time.
So let's just very quickly, before we get into a scene, see if you can rush through your project to free Miyuki up to work for you on other things.
So my resources project, the launch roll was leadership plus retainer. and I had an extra dice from Velvet.
Yeah.
Because Velvet was the one who was helping me with that. So it would be a leadership plus retainer?
Yep.
+1?
Yes.
Okay. Well,
And
my retainer...
your current dice project is at...
My project dice is... actually, what I need to roll is at difficulty 3. Sorry. You roll
I've
3
got
dice.
3 dice. Yeah. So for those watching at home, there's a thing with project where when you've got a project running, if you want to finish it early, you can effectively try and rush the project. And what this comes down to is a contested roll against how much time you've got left on your project versus your own dice. Because of the nature of this, the project can get critical wins, but you can't. So it's a little risky sometimes, particularly if you've got a lot of time left on your project. However, if you succeed, you get to finish it early. So that's what Theodore is trying to do. So are you ready to have a go?
Yes.
Because I'm super old-fashioned, I'm going to be rolling actual dice.
No.
Yes.
Oh! 7 successes.
7 successes?
Yes.
Nice.
So...
Like every single die.
Fueled...
My retainer, my leadership, and Velvet. Every single die was a success.
Okay. So fueled by your desire to make this happen, you throw yourself into finding every way to shortcut and accelerate this project and get your investments back as you can, and you are ludicrously successful. So you now have Miyuki back to use as you need to, and I assume what you're doing is you are sending her to Sir William to commence work on his project.
Yeah, I make all the arrangements. I help Miyuki pack a few suitcases and some stuff because I mean she's going to be moving to wherever he pleases and wherever he chooses. And I do ask her to get dressed on a traditional kimono, any kimono Sir William has complemented over the last 10 years of tea ceremonies with him. So I can just present her as like, hey, this is all the help I can give you. You're in the best hands, Sir William.
So she will dress up in her finest for this, as he is obviously a serious knight of Oxfordshire. When I say serious, I mean senior. He's a senior knight of Oxfordshire. So yes, she will dress up in her finery and will present herself with you to him. And he will very happily take her under his protection. And it is very clear between the two of you that this is a kind of, whilst she is working on this project for him, he is going to be responsible for her safety.
Mm-hmm. This is a conversation I would have, of course, with Miyuki beforehand. Hopefully, it'll be reassuring for her. She would be doing something. She's going to be in company of someone she knows and someone that can protect her. So Naoto is not a concern. And also, Sir William does not want her to go away. So there's no way that she can be stolen from me.
She will say, I am glad to be safe, Ken-san. But who will make me breakfast?
I give her a kiss on the cheek, and I pat the suitcase in which her wakizashi is packed. Because even though she's going to be with Sir William, that is her heirloom?
Yeah, her heirloom. And also a means to which she can defend herself.
Yeah.
So she will take the pat, understand what it means, and will bid you farewell and will go off to be with Sir William.
Excellent.
Now, while we are with you, I believe you wanted to speak to Isabel.
Yes, I do.
All right. So again, this is a relatively easy thing for you to arrange, given that she is your sire and seems to be well disposed towards you. So you can meet at her home, as you often do.
Mm-hmm.
She will receive you in the sitting room. It is, again, very comforting. There's a sort of a ritual in the way that Isabel does things, where things are always laid out the same. Everything is always immaculate. There is a sense to which it feels safe because it's a controlled environment. You know where you are, you know what you're going to get, and there's a sort of reliability about it, which you've kind of got used to over time. So she will be sitting opposite you, and I'll say, and how are you, Theodore?
I've been very busy. I've been attending to some matters that I believe could be of help in our predicament. But I want to get to those details later. First, I need to have an open and frank conversation with you. I need you to tell me everything about Sir Enolf and our bloodline. I need to understand what's Meliore's relationship with him and yourself. What is your relationship to him? I need to understand where I'm standing. We are a very short bloodline. It's just the three of us, and we are under the protection of Sir Enolf. Keeping information from me might play against us. I know this is probably part of your private life, definitely in more ways than one, but I believe I deserve a measure of straightforwardness and honesty. I cannot be working blind.
Her eyes drift to the candle that is burning at the table. She seems to be in thought for a moment. So can you tell me what your charisma and persuasion pool half is?
My pool
Or you
half
can
is...
add your Mauler dots to it.
Oh, that's good. 5, 6, 7, 3.5 for a total of 3.
She says, yes. Yes, you have proven yourself over the years. And given the situation we find ourselves in, it is right that you understand how we are in the place that we are. As you know, Oxfordshire has a history of fighting the Sabbat. Whilst we, of course, are Camarilla, that was not always the case. Well, it was for myself, but was not always the case for Meliore. She was created as a member of the Sabbat, though she bore no love for that sect. And during the war, sought to escape. But you must understand, I'm sure you do, that no one would trust one of our bloodline wishing to move over, wishing to defect. And it is complicated if you do such a thing publicly.
If you are an outsider.
If you are an outsider, not only...
completely.
Yes, I hope that you would. You must now perhaps see why you were such a perfect choice for us on so many levels. So, in order for Meliore to have a life, a safe life, it was not enough for her simply to leave the Sabbat and join the Camarilla. She had to die, as far as everyone else was concerned, and take on the life of someone else. The life of someone who was part of the Camarilla in an established line, someone who would be beyond question. Now, it just so happened that Sir Enolf was involved heavily in that war. And it also happened that he had certain needs which were very difficult to meet. And Meliore was able to persuade him that she was able to meet that need. Specifically, Sir Enolf believes that I am not who I am. He believes that I'm the reincarnation of someone who was once very dear to him.
I'm trying to remember the name he told me. Was it Elizabeth?
It was Lisbeth.
Lisbeth. And you say it. Lisbeth.
She kind of crumples slightly and just nods. In order for this agreement to work, I have to take on that role with him. I have to be the woman that he remembers. Except, Theodore, that role is becoming more difficult with time. So Enolf's memories, I fear, are changing, are shifting. His grip on who she was is not the same from night to night. And moreover, she is held on a pedestal. She is in his eyes, she is perfect. Whilst I try, it is an impossible standard to maintain. In return for the restoration of Lisbeth, well, not her precisely, of the reincarnation of her. Even I could not truly mimic the actual woman as she was. But by taking on that role, by feeding that delusion of his, he agreed to adopt our line into his own and even to allow us to bear the name of his clan, and has shielded us from harm all these years. It is a narrow bridge that we walk and have walked for a long time, but I fear that bridge is starting to crumble. I don't know how much longer I can keep this up. His demands are coming. She pauses. I'm sorry?
So this is not a bridge anymore, Isabel. We're walking on a tightrope.
Yes. Yes,
One that
I
is being
agree.
eaten.
But I do not know what else to do. He knows if we are outed to the city, we will be hunted down and killed.
Yes.
We have been lying to the prince from day one. No doubt it would also cause Sanov a great deal of shame, but we would not recover.
Why would Meliore not see this and try to leave Oxfordshire?
Well, because if we were to leave Oxfordshire, Sanov would hunt us down. And there are very few places that we can go.
Yeah.
Especially if he chose to share our secret.
I see.
This is a tightrope, as you say, but it is, so long as we can walk it, it is the safest place for us.
Well, how do we make it safe? How do we guarantee at least that Meliore will be alive? How do I get out of this spoon?
I can only hope that there is some way we can persuade others in the city to make Lord Amargo change his mind. I don't have any other answers, Theodore. I'm sorry. I wish things were different.
Well, one of the things I wanted to talk to you about is I've been helping Sir William with a personal request of his. He needs assistance in some businesses, so given that Naoto is here and he has been taunting with the possibility of taking Miyuki back, I have given Miyuki to Sir William to be under his care while she leads the efforts on getting his business sorted. I still think we're going to need a whole lot more financial muscle for that to happen, but we're looking at something, if it happens, something that's probably bigger than a minor boon from a founding knight.
A major boon from Sir William,
Yes,
might be enough. If I believe that Lord Amargo respect Sir William. They were judges together, and they have spent some time in each other's company and know each other by reputation. If he could be brought to our cause, that might be the thing we need.
Mm-hmm. So I just need to see this through. I'm going to be needing investment resources. Well, not me, Miyuki. Miyuki is leading all that while I do something else.
You know I am not without my own funds, Theodore. If our venture depends on this being successful, I will lend my aid. You need only say the word.
I think so, yes. If we can assist Lord William, as I did about a decade ago, he has shown to be our ally, and he's a man that is true to his word.
Have Miyuki send me the requirements, and I will spare whatever I can.
Immediately. Oh, last but not least, I'm trying to get a hold of Alistair and have a chat with him. Let's see what Joanne can make of that. But it would be interesting to understand why the Tremere are so hated in this city. Ota, Tremere from Japan, would be very, very grateful if he were to have a chat with Chen Li. I am very hesitant to let that happen, for the prince must have his reasons.
Do you believe that he would be able to sway Lord Amargo?
Every little helps.
Yes.
Worst case scenario.
Yes, we must pursue every avenue we have available to us.
Worst case scenario, there's nothing there and I cannot help Ota. Nothing changes. Base case scenario, not necessarily Ota, but the Tremere of Tokyo might owe me a little bit.
Well, then I wish you all successes.
I stand up and I go and give her a kiss on the cheek.
Yeah.
Put my hand on her shoulder and squeeze it. Thanks for telling me.
Yes, it was time.
Have a good evening.
Yes, and in a slightly more subdued fashion, she will take you to the door, leave, and head on your way. All right, so Velvet, let's come to you.
Okay.
In memoriam, a few days ago, you were with Adam, having reunited after some time.
Yep.
And obviously, Velvet is quite good at reading people and knows Adam particularly well.
Yep.
And you are kind of sharing a stolen moment of intimacy in this booth that is screened off. And it will become apparent to Velvet that something that Adam seems frustrated in some way, like he's trying to rush things a bit more than normal, and you're just aware that something is off with him, but you can't quite put your finger on what it is, but it certainly will set some kind of internal alarm ringing, and he will say to you suddenly, we don't have much time. I want to feel your teeth. And he'll push his arm towards your face.
Spicy.
Adam, we just got through a conversation about this. This is not... We can't risk this here. All right. You took all the precautions you could, and so did I. But we can't end up in a situation again where anything happens to you. And you.
But I just need it, Velvet. I just need to feel it just for a moment. It's been so long. We haven't been together. Please. He is social combating you. I'm going to rule, by the way. I'm going to rule, by the way, that your blood bond cancels itself out for the moment because you are both suggesting things that are counter to each other. So the blood bond is not making you do something, neither is it making him. However, he is going to social combat you.
Okay.
So I'm going to suggest that you are using charisma and persuasion.
Okay.
He is using manipulation and persuasion. Are you using any disciplines against Adam for this role, or are you just trying to persuade him naturally?
Oh, I'm just trying to persuade him with my normal amazing charm.
That's excellent. So
you said it's charisma.
yeah,
So you don't
charisma
want...
plus persuasion.
Okay, so there's no additions to this or anything.
Unless you're rousing, no.
Nope, not that kind of rousing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
3.
Total of 3 successes.
Okay, so that is a tie. So you both take 1 superficial point of willpower damage.
Okay.
He is not stepping out of this social combat, are you?
No.
He says, please, I'm just asking for a moment. I just want to feel it just for a moment. I just want to feel connected to you.
Adam, I
Really
love you.
connected.
And that is more important than this. And you know that it is. We can't do this here. We can't. And this is what got us into this situation in the first place, was not being careful. And you know that. You know that as well as I do. I don't know why you're suggesting this. So why are you suggesting this? You came here. This was the first thing you said to me when I got here. You said that that we had to be careful.
And we have been careful. We're safe here. We're safe. I've made sure of it. And you ask me why? Well, because I want to feel close to you. Our connection is so deep, Velvet. It's not just skin and bone. It's more than that. I want to feel it. Let's go second round.
Yeah.
Are you rousing?
Fight.
No. Wait, it's the same check, yeah?
Same check, unless you wish to use any extra disciplines or rouse. Obviously, you can spend willpower on it if you wish.
No, I'm not that dedicated.
You're not that dedicated. I like it.
For what?
Oh. You got a crit win there.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
5.
4, 5, 6 successes. Critical win.
Okay.
It's 4, isn't it? Never mind. It's whatever Carlos.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
whatever
critical
Carlos
win.
says. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what happens is this. You are having this argument or discussion, trying to gently kind of push each other back and forth on this issue. And there is a moment where you feel that thing, because Adam's normally quite a kind of quiet person to be around. But you know that when he wants to, he can kind of project. And you have that moment where you feel him seem to be somehow taking more space than he was, pleading, looking at you. But you just kind of keep eye contact with him. You continue with your argument. And it's like all of a sudden he just kind of crumples back down again and looks down, kind of doesn't meet your eye and looks appalled and just says, You're right. You're right. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You don't have to be sorry. There's nothing for you to be sorry about.
You're right. We have to be careful. I wasn't thinking. It's just been so hard, Velvet.
It has, and it's been so hard for me too. And I want this as much as you do. But we have to make it first so that this can't trouble us again. There is
All right. Yes, you're right. You're right.
Please don't think this isn't killing me, because it is. And
No, you're right, Velvet. I'm always the one normally telling you to be careful. Now look at me. It's like we swapped roles or something.
Well,
Thank you. Thank you for stopping me. I just, it's hard. I don't, and the fact that I haven't seen you makes it worse.
yeah, it's
We just have to make things change soon so we can really be together again.
and I'm working on it, and I know you'll help me. But yeah, when this is done, well, you can do whatever it is you want, anything you want. I don't care.
He will give you a tender kiss goodbye, and he will slip
Okay.
away. All right, so I'm going to, in a moment, jump forward to Thursday, the 26th of July. Is there anything anyone is going to shout at me they're going to do before that point?
I think during this point, Silas will find Joanne, if that is possible.
Is Joanne in the surgery or around the Haven?
Yeah, she'll just be around.
Yep, sure, you can find her. Just for your reference, Silas, you have a meeting arranged via Finn with Sir Marta and Sir Kerstag on Sunday the 29th.
Right.
But we are currently on Thursday, not Thursday the 26th, we're probably on the Wednesday. So over to you.
So I just knock on the door.
Come in.
Open the door. Doctor, how are you doing?
As all right as I can, I guess. You?
I close the door behind, and I take a few steps closer. We had a private conversation a little bit ago with you remember Liz, the woman who
Had a bit of a breakdown, and
was your inspector friend able to keep any tabs on her?
I can certainly ask. It's not something I've followed up myself.
Yeah, it would. I feel bad about what I had to do to her, and it doesn't feel right. Poor woman.
Like I said, I can ask, but
Thank you.
not something I've thought to follow up myself.
Yes, you've had a lot with checking it with sort of keeping the surgery supplied, which I don't know how you do it.
Luckily, we haven't needed it, but
Yeah.
with the escapades of this group,
Yeah. Where?
might need it again.
I feel personally attacked by that comment.
Yeah. Again, don't. There's nothing you need to rush on, but I'd like to know that she is okay and she's safe, and that she's not trying to push the issue. Because if she is, then we kind of will have to step in, and I don't want to do that.
To be honest, as far as she knows, you fell off the roof and probably cracked your skeleton into multiple pieces. So she probably thinks you're dead.
That's what I'm hoping, and I'm hoping she's just she's realized that vampires aren't real. Has figured out. Yeah.
I wish they weren't.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, just keep her safe.
I'll do what I can. It's not much, but I'll ask.
Yes, thank you. I sort of gently place a hand on her shoulder and go, squeeze, and then a gentle squeeze, a gentle kind of careful.
I imagine
Not a bruise your squeeze.
I crush her shoulder in my mighty hand.
No.
Okay.
Potence to prowess.
So, we're going to jump to Thursday, the 26th of July. I should say, around this time, all of you, through various means, either through your political acumen or your sires, or your contacts in other cities, depending on, you know, where you've put your points and where you spent your time, will hear there is rumors buzzing about. The word is out that there is going to be a court held on the 1st of August. And on that court, a delegation from Reading is going to be present, including the Prince of Reading. And there is going to be a duel fought between the two princes. And you know, for undead who live a long time and often get quite bored, this is super exciting. So there is lots of gossip, chatter, discussion, speculation. It's all out there, depending on, you know, who you want to talk to. I should say, for Silas, from your point of view, you'll probably hear about this via Finn. And the prevailing mood, certainly from him, is this is going to be pretty awesome. And you know, it's been a long time since we've got to see the prince, you know, destroy someone in a duel. Velvet, you've probably got it slightly more through a variety of kind of the political buzz.
Yeah.
And there is a kind of mixture of feeling around it. You know,
Okay.
that Oxford is not of one mind about this.
That's very
Certainly,
interesting.
the more you move towards the night, the more you get the sense that they're like, yeah, this will be cool. The more you move away from it, the
Let
more
me
you
down
get
again.
kind of, yeah, the more you get away from it, the more you get kind of fear, uncertainty, the chance that everything could change. Everything people have been working for over decades could be upended or destroyed. And also, and there is sort of a sense that whichever way it goes, that could happen. Because if, for example, Drogo wins the duel, that doesn't mean that things in Oxford would stay the same. The political view is he will not trust the people in Reading to run Reading. That means that various people will be sent to Reading, probably awarded it even, or
My
segments
God,
of
we need
it.
a plan to have Reading awarded to Wallace. Yes.
Right. So
Come
that is a
on.
possibility. If you want to
Yes.
basically
Yeah.
start trying to spread the idea that Wallace deserves to be
He
Prince
should
of Reading,
definitely be Prince
totally.
of Reading, yeah.
Or I should say Regent of Reading, or whatever the
Yeah, whatever it is
terminology
you're
is for someone who's not Prince looking after something.
you're just, yeah.
Anyway,
I vote Wallace for Puppet Prince.
from your point of view, Joanne, you will get the sense that Reading are feeling like this is going to be great.
Yep.
And they are also, you know, given the age difference in combatants, they're obviously, which won't surprise you, surprisingly confident that maybe they have some edges in this.
Almost like I've been working for 10 years to try and get this on.
Almost like you have, yeah. And Theodore, from your point of view, you'll probably get this primarily from
Probably Sir William.
Sir William,
in one of the many visits.
Yeah. Sir William is kind of quietly confident in his sire, but not, you know, he has absolute faith in his sire's ability to win the duel, but he is not without concern because, of course, it is a duel, and they always have to be taken seriously. And any kind of, you know, Helena is not a child by any stretch. She's still an elder.
She's an elder.
And, you know, the Bruya are known to be fearsome combatant. So he is taking it seriously. So this is kind of a buzz in the background as we move on Thursday the 26th. Now, the exciting event on Thursday the 26th of July is that finally, after much waiting, Joanne and Theodore, you have been granted an audience with Alistair.
Finally.
So you will be going to the library, which is his usual preferred haunt. And Thorn, his ghoul, will be present to escort you in. Joanne, Thorn seems in an oddly good mood. You just, because you know you've known Thorn quite a bit over the years. But yeah, when you come to meet him, he will give you both a kind of a slight bow. Says, evening.
Oh, you're looking kind of spry today.
He says, certainly am. He says, reckon you will be by the end of the night.
Let's hope so.
Says, yeah. This way, he's expecting you.
Follow along.
So
Follow along.
You'll be taken into the library with these kind of beautiful kind of arched ceilings and old wooden bookcases. Still quite a kind of clean environment. and a slightly modern feeling environment. Certainly, Joanne, you always feel quite at home here when you come. So Alistair will be sitting at one of the tables, one of the reading tables, and there will be a couple of chairs waiting for you. He will stand when you come and give Thorn a nod, and the two share a lingering smile with each other. There is something, to your eye, Theodore, a little bit saucy about this, and a bit perhaps inappropriate.
A bit saucy.
A bit saucy and inappropriate, yeah, Theodore. But
This is naughty.
yeah, it's a bit flirtatious for the circumstance of admitting kindred into your thing, but nevertheless, it is there. One of the things that you will both notice now that he has stood up is you can see the silver chain, but normally it connects his left and right wrists together. But this time it's being worn slightly differently. It looks as if a series of rings have been attached to it that he is wearing over the fingers of his right hand, and they then stretch kind of across the back of his hand and then loop around his wrist to be tied at his elbow. So his two wrists are no longer chained together. He is wearing the chain like a piece of ornamentation on his right hand, with a series of rings on his fingers now. And he will open his arms when you both come in, and he says, "Welcome, welcome."
They let you go?
He says, "Ah, my sweet, sweet Joanne. They did indeed let me go."
I will go up and hug him.
Yeah, he will. You rush forward,
Yeah.
and he will embrace you. He is, of course, actually, no, I lie. I was going to say he's cold, but by the time you reach him, there is the slightest bit of colour in his very pale Gothic cheeks, and he will hug you, and he will whisper in your ear, "You did it."
Oh my God.
He says, "The herald himself," he kind of releases you from your embrace, and he will sit down and allow you to both do the same. He says, "The herald himself came to visit me recently, just to say that the prince has reconsidered, and that whilst the clan has made some mistakes in the past, the bloodline should not be judged on solely its past actions, but also on its current one and the future that it may bring. And given the, let me see if I can remember his words, the discretion and wisdom they have shown in recent nights, the prince has decided to change his position. I am no longer a prisoner here.
Excellent.
And things will take time to adjust, but they will adjust all to the better."
I stand up and reach out with a hand extended, but allow me to congratulate you.
Yeah, he will stand and he will shake your hand.
This is my Coterie member, Theodore Penn.
I remember him. As though I am often quiet in court, I am always there. So, and when you are not called upon to speak, you have a lot of time to listen, watch. Now, he says, you clearly were not coming here just to hear my news. So, what can I do for the two of you? I would say this is a good time. I am in a good mood. Ask me what you will. I'm more than happy to speak to you.
Theodore, we initially came here for you. My question is very minor, so...
Not to me, Joanne.
Yes, if it's minor, let's expedite it. Probably Mr. Alistair would like to hear very much from someone who had a direct hand on setting your bloodline free. You've earned the freedom of your bloodline.
This news changes it. What will you do now?
Now? That is a very good question. I imagine I will go for many walks, see how the streets of Oxfordshire have changed during my incarceration. And I am open to recommendation. There are new spots in the city that one should experience.
There's quite a lot I can... So assuming you have free contact now, I can just get in contact with you anytime?
Well, perhaps even you could show me. I understand
Of course.
Thorn has quite a list, but his tastes are somewhat different in some ways to mine. So I would welcome a broad experience.
Of
should I have
course.
it.
I'll tomorrow night.
I can say with all the confidence that any stroll you wish to take on the southern part of Oxfordshire, the area that is taken care of by our coterie, you can have Joanne show you around, and I will make sure that it's considered part of her normal duties.
Well, that is very kind of you. And did we answer your question, Joanne?
Yes.
Good.
It completely changed on receipt of this knowledge.
Forgive me, I'm a little unfocused tonight. Now, Theodore, you also came an unexpected visit, but not an unwelcome one. What can I do for you this night?
Well, actually, the news of the Toreador being put back in the place they belong, not in shame, not apart, not away, where they deserve to be, with the rest of the clans. I must confess, I didn't have any knowledge of this, as neither did Joanne, but there is another clan that suffers, perhaps under different circumstances, but the end result ends up being similar. And I wanted to talk to you and get your understanding on both the situation of the Toreador and the situation of the Tremere. I lived for many decades in Japan, and while I was a ghoul there, well, the Ventru could rule, but only because of the Tremere power. They left sort of the running of the household to the Ventru, while they took care of more important matters. And it's a very prestigious clan. It's very well respected, and I just wanted to talk to you to understand the situation of both the Toreador and the Tremere.
Well, whilst we may have both as clans suffered the prince's pleasure, we are hardly together in our position here. We are young men, you and I, and we do not have the history and the memory that some of the elders do. You must understand, Oxfordshire is an old domain, and those that founded it are old indeed, and they carry with them certain prejudices which do not survive so much to modern knights against Clan Tremere. It's always been harder for them in Oxfordshire. Business with my clan is as much about my bloodline, one that is a personal matter. However, the one around the Tremere is more of a clan and historical. That said, there was once a time where the Tremere did exist in Oxfordshire. Indeed, in this very place where we are now, there was once a chantry, I am given to understand, though such a thing stood before my time. Unfortunately, depending on who you ask, some might tell you that the Tremere are still by nature treacherous. Their loyalty not first to the oath, not first even to the Camarilla, but first to themselves. And I am given to understand that there was a great betrayal during their time here, one which has never been forgotten. And as such, the clan has been unwelcome in the city ever since. Between us, as we speak, frankly and honestly, whilst, as I say, the situations of the clans are very different, the situation that Cheng Li and I found ourselves in was remarkably similar. For whilst neither of us had personally earned the ire of the prince, both of us were deemed to be prisoners. And our used for the service of the city, but not given much in the way of personal freedom.
I understand. So she is collateral damage.
Yes, I'm afraid she is just an innocent casualty of someone else's conflict.
And why has this never been brought up to the Tremere?
Well, I'm sure the Tremere are aware of the situation, but they are not in a position to demand her release. And, well, I think it is still their hope that one day they will once again gain a foothold, and they are playing the long game.
Well, being patient and diligent, and I say looking at Joanne, certainly paid off for you.
Yes, and perhaps given that the prince has shown mercy on this front, it may be that the Tremere's time is coming. Certainly I would wish it so for Chen. She is, well, all of our kind have our foibles. I find her to be quite agreeable.
Thank you very much. I just needed a basic understanding of the situation, and also probably a deeper understanding of yours. Joanne had asked us to help her, to aid her, support her in this sort of mission or task that she was given. And it was my intention to understand the situation further, but now seeing the results, I think her actions speak louder than any words I can say. So I will leave you to enjoy your newfound freedom. I stand again, and I extend my hand in a firm handshake.
Yeah, he will give you a firm handshake in return. He seems genuinely quite pleased and happy.
My most sincere congratulations. Joanne, if you wish to stay longer, I can then send for you.
I don't. Me and Alistair can certainly catch up when we go for these walks, and we've got a lot to talk about, but I think I'll let you enjoy this for this day, and we'll catch up soon. I just very lightly touch the back of his hand.
Sure. He will, when you do that, he will kind of catch your hand briefly and bring it to his lips. And then he will say to you, Joanne, he'll say, be sure to speak with the boonkeeper at the next court.
Of course.
And with that, he will bid you both farewell.
Yeah. I silently walk with her until we get to the car.
Mm-hmm.
Then once we're driving, I just turn and say, well, that was a happy coincidence.
It was fantastic. I didn't expect it in the slightest. It changed literally everything I had to ask.
Oh no, he genuinely looked happy, pleased, and so did you.
It's the culmination of a year of intense work, and I got to see him happy and free. That's what I've been working for.
Remember that conversation we had some years ago about why I was so, how did you call me? Stuck up?
Probably something like that.
Yeah, let's go with that. And I mentioned that you have to be patient and at some points wise if you want to understand what's going on around you. I wanted to talk to Alistair because I wanted to understand what was the situation around him, and especially the Tremere. I'm not going to lie to you. I want to know about that clan as well. But without understanding what happened before, it's very difficult to judge what's happening now. I'm just glad that your bloodline has resurfaced. rebirth. It's been reborn. Like the phoenix. Yes, I know, antiquated and cliched, but
I've learned to accept that from you now.
Eventually you will learn to appreciate it. This gives me some hope for the Tremere. People should not be punished for others' mistakes, but an example must be made. I am really sorry for what your bloodline has gone through. I know it was not my doing, nor the doing of my bloodline, but whatever happened, however it transpired, I believe Prince Drogo needed to make an example. And sadly, it fell on Alistair and his bloodline.
What if I told you it wasn't him
What do you mean?
that decided to make the call to make the example?
I'm not sure I follow.
I have a theory. When I talked to Drogo, Prince Drogo, at the games, I get the feeling that he didn't order Alistair's imprisonment. I think it was the Herald.
Oh. So you believe that the Herald has been insidiously suggesting things to the prince?
Theodore, during Sally's trial, you saw Jason Orcott conferring with the prince and then passing his judgment down, correct?
Yes.
You did not. The prince did not react.
Not in a way that we can perceive.
No, he didn't react at all.
So you're telling me that your theory is that Jason Alcott is using Prince Drogo the Varantin as a puppet?
To an extent, yes.
Have you considered that I am close to Sir William, his child? Someone who does not need, as far as I am aware, does not need the herald present to confer with his own sire. Someone who has not mentioned it in over 10 years of, I'm not going to say close, I'm not going to presume that I'm close to him, but a man of honor like Sir William would have beheaded anyone who would try to use his sire that way.
If he knew? This is just a theory. I
appreciate
but
it.
I've seen more than enough to have it confirmed to me in my own eyes.
I will keep it in mind. I will not dismiss it outright because I trust you. Though I believe your judgment might be clouded. I do see a very strong point in which Sir Drogo the Varantin does not look like the type of man who would revel in the misery of others. I cannot say the same for the Herald. He is a person who is due respect due to his position, but again, is not a man I would respect. Again, respect the station. But any instruction that comes from the prince
has come through the Herald.
I have very little to refute your theory, since I have never thought about it myself. I will keep my eyes and ears open. I will probably try to understand a little bit more of the prince's current condition through his child, I still believe that Sir Drogo is a man that, even though his mind might be trapped in the past, he's not a cruel man, and he's a strong and good leader. Probably the only big failing of him is that his mind is still trapped in those long gone years. And we have plenty of our elders in this city that are in that state. People who have never seen the world change so much in so little time. People that cannot comprehend the world they're living in anymore. That is probably the greatest failing of our prince. And it's not a big failing. I doubt it could be considered a failing at all. He's just trying to do what's right in his eyes, and I'll keep a close eye.
Just keep it in mind, it's all I ask.
Yeah, but also keep in mind that it might have been that Sir Drogo had to do a very difficult call. Just to avoid it happening. Well, you know what? This is a night for celebration. Do you want a drink when we get home? We can. I'm sure Bella wouldn't mind if we go through his stash. And I just give her a wink and then continue driving.
Cool.
Wait a minute, how often do you go through my stash?
Yeah.
Not very.
All the time.
So, is there anything, and you're welcome to do so, any scenes that people want to run before I jump to Sunday, the 29th of July, which is a couple of days later, where Silas is going to meet Sir Kerstag and Sir Marta?
I want to have a conversation with Theo, but it can be whenever suits. It doesn't have to be in those 2 days.
Okay, cool. Well, let's put it to later.
Yeah.
Anyone else for any more?
No.
Cool. So,
well, I have like 2,000 scenes, but none of them are super important to happen right now.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that you all have a rack load of scenes, but specifically before this point. So, in that case, we're going to jump to Sunday, the 29th of July. Silas, you will be told to go to a familiar set of fields not very far from where Finn is. Seems that Sir Marta and Sir Kerstag wish to meet you in the place where the games happened. So I assume you go.
Yep. Asking Finn whether sword or no sword.
Says, are you planning to fight?
Nope.
Then no sword.
Pretty sure. Just in
Gives
case.
you a pat on the arm. You all right there, Silas?
Yeah, I'm fine.
I know they can be a bit intimidating, but you know, they're all right. Your family.
Yep.
Do you want me to come with you? You're all right.
I think I'll be fine. Thank you very much.
He says, that's the right answer. He pats you more firmly on the arm and sends you on your way. So, without sword, you make your way to the fields. It is a cloudy night. There is very little light. You know, once you get out into the fields, are you taking any light with you?
I would have a torch, so I can certainly see my way.
So as you're making your way across the field, hearing the kind of the squelch of the mud on your boots as you make your way out there, you will spot. It's being kind of pointed down, so you don't see it until you're relatively close, but you will see another light out in the field, which I assume you're going to make your way toward.
Yep.
It's not until you get quite close that you're able to make out the two silhouettes kind of by the light, and then also recognize them as not two random strangers, but the two people that you're intending to meet. One of those silhouettes is kind of shorter and broader than the other, and obviously wrapped in many, many layers. And the other silhouette, it looks, even in this poor light, you think Sir Marta is still wearing her armor and is kind of dressed as normal. So Kerstag is clearly dressed for someone being out in the middle of the night.
Yep.
He likes to have a few extra layers on. So they will greet you as you approach, and Kerstag will say, "Oh, there he is, our little champion.
Thank you.
How are you?"
I'm okay, thanks. Thank you. And I'm still. I didn't expect it to go that well, to be honest, but I am very pleased it went as well as it did.
Aye, so are we, so are we. Samata will say, I must admit, Silas, I'm curious of why you wanted to meet us. I took the liberty of doing it out here, somewhere quiet.
I'm gonna move closer, so they can hear me while saying. So I'm not trying to make it. I'm not making it easier for
you can
anyone around
speak
to read.
softly to each other with, unless someone is, because there's no cover here, so they'd have to be supernaturally hidden if they were trying to eavesdrop on you.
With what will take place in a couple of days' time, the event that's going to probably outshine what happened here. I'm in agreement for what we previously said of who should be in charge. And I was wondering how we might use the situation to advantage, both for whichever side prevails.
Samata says, we stand to lose, Silas, whatever happens. For Drogo wins, nothing changes. We still have this situation, this injustice. And if Helena wins, I do not see her having any belief in the oath. Drogo himself, I do not judge him just as a man. I judge him as a knight. And though we all swear to him, we swear to him as the embodiment of the oath itself, the embodiment of this brotherhood, which he has failed. Helena is not even part of it. So unless she swears, then I see her as just as bad, if not worse, than Drogo. Whatever happens, unless they rectify their situation, we will have to act.
How
Do you understand?
How do we do that?
We persuade Sir James to do what he should have done a long time ago and step up. And if he will not do that, then we find someone else who will. Kirstag will say, that's a pretty short list, Jesus. Aye, it is, sister. It is.
I mean, if worst comes to worst, if I were a knight, I would throw my own name into the ring, even though I'm sure I would be removed, dispatched very quickly.
Kirstag
I am
laughs
no knight.
and laughs for a few moments. Oh, that's very good, Sil. Yes, you. Oh, I love it. No.
I know.
Marta says, though, to my mind, age is not a factor. It's about your honor. That's what matters. Are you what Oxfordshire needs? That's what matters. As far as many others are concerned, it's about your age. We need someone with the age and the honor together to make Oxfordshire strong.
Yes.
So you ask what we can do? Well, all we can do is watch this fiasco play out. And when it's done, then we see if Helena proves herself to be worthy, which she will not. She is not a brewer of honor. She's political brewer. She's interested in her power. I do not think she will bind herself. And even if she says she does, I do not believe she'll hold to it. But we will see. Perhaps she will. I should give her the benefit of the doubt, I suppose. And if Drogo wins, then he needs to set right what he's done wrong. Or he needs to go. It's as simple as that.
Yes.
Not everyone sees as we do, Silas. We're doing what we can to help persuade those who we know well. But you have fame now amongst your own generation. Neonates like you. And the newly embraced who look up to you. Sway them when the time comes. And then stand by our side.
I will do. And for with this situation, I do intend to become, as you both are, a knight of Oxfordshire, and I would ask your backing.
Kerstag says, if you do what you have to and the time is right, prove yourself. Help us save Oxfordshire. And then we can talk.
Thank you.
She says, one more thing, Silas. Your sire, my wee child, he'll need some persuading between us. Get him on the right side.
Yes.
You'll help me, won't you?
Of course I will.
She smiles, gives you a pat on the shoulder. She has to reach up to do it.
Yep.
On tiptoes.
I ask her to lean down a little so
She pretends not to notice.
yeah.
Are you saying anything else at that point?
I'll just thank you. Thank you both for your time.
So you will be aware that even though you were in a discreet location, you are discussing treason of a kind.
Yeah.
And you will feel that kind of slight discomfort in your soul. You know, it's not as bad as actually committing treason. So it's not multiple stains.
Yep.
But it is nevertheless one stain, because you have effectively agreed, should push come to shove, that you're happy to stand by and overthrow Drogo. Now, if you're just lying through your teeth, then your soul is not in jeopardy. But at the moment, he is your sworn lord, and you're saying, yeah, fine, I'll help take him down if it comes to it.
And I take my first stain of the game.
Yay!
Welcome to Stain Town, boy.
I mean, almost 2 entire seasons without a single stain. I'm very happy with that.
So on that cheery note, and only a couple of nights away from this special court, I think is a good time for us to take a break.
Woohoo!
Woohoo.
So, do we have any? It's going to be very complicated for us to pass around the speaking stake.
Yes.
Yeah, don't
Yeah,
break
I will
quarantine.
definitely. Yes, exactly.
And I'll be back in a minute.
So, do we have any shout outs?
I mean, I want to do a shout out for Cedar. Cedar drew for me, some people have seen this, a commission of Velvet and Freddy.
Yeah, I might be back in a second as well. Oh, fuck.
And it was brilliant, and I love it. I think particularly what I love about it is that it captures the emotion of that scene so brilliantly. So I know that she's taking commissions at the moment. So I mean, this is just a shout out to say thank you very much, but also you know, if you have
Go check her
commissions,
out.
go check her out. It's great. Yeah.
I do have a shout out to give to the wonderful people who played on our one shots. So we played 3 one shots, 12 disaster goals. Thank you very much. I am super happy. I'm sad that I had to leave you. It's okay. Your characters are there. Some of them in better shape than others, but it's okay. Some of them will survive to modern nights in Bristol. Some of them won't. No, but seriously, thank you very much for stepping up and and playing the game with us. It was a very enjoyable experience. So a big shout out to all Bristolians.
I count myself in that, so I'm taking that.
Yeah. I think it's relationship map time.
It is relationship map time. Before relationship map time, I also want to do a shout out for Adam and Laura and Paul, who are not watching tonight because they're all paramedics.
Oh wow.
But they will be watching at some point afterwards. So this is to you because you're amazing and everything you do is brilliant. But now, relationship map. So, luckily for all concerned, I wrote this, I don't know, like a day after episode 9. So hopefully it'll be relatively accurate. I've totally forgotten to send Mitch this list of information, because normally he would point out to you all the bits that have changed. So that's my first failure of this relationship map update. Feel free to point out others as we move along. Because I've missed this part of it the most. So the first thing that I added was Mitch's picture of Sir Gansuk, finally, after whatever 3 or 4 goes at trying. So that's up there. Cedar's picture of Sapphire from the games. I added the picture of Freddy that Kirsty did for me, and updated his description because obviously he's a little bit older now. So thanks as well, Kirsty, for doing that. I added Constance, who is Sir Rafe's horse. And Kirsty did a picture of Sir Rafe's horse as well. So I think, Peter Carls, you might know, Kirsty was drawing kind of mini commissions while you guys were chatting from bed the other day, or before we did the one-shots. So there were some pictures out of that. I added the sire-child link between Pascal and Fabrice, and a description of Fabrice, which was missing from before. I don't know why that was. Well, I mean, obviously because I didn't add it. And then there's more artwork of Velvet and Anne and Joanne and Druty, which Kirsty did during the broadcast, which I think has gone on the website into Edmund's gallery.
Yes.
So there you are. And I've been frantically going to take notes to do the update for this time, but there's nobody new yet. So there you go, Peter. Gauntlet.
So on the sort of the note of Carlos kind of shouting out people over the one shot, because I watched them all and thought everybody did a great job.
Oh my God, that was so
and
good.
as a result of that, we decided that following this episode, and I'll talk a little bit more about this at the end of this, but we asked people kind of play again, and the response was fabulous. And I do think kind of a shout out to everybody who obviously comes and watches and supports us and occasionally does art for us or writes kind of fiction for us. But also just generally makes it really pleasurable and easy to work. And you know, I was really impressed by everybody who came and played over the last 3 weeks, and I'm really looking forward to seeing some of you again and some new faces over the next few.
So, Mitch, do we have questions? Woohoo!
Yeah.
For the tech Mitch.
Say his name in 3 ways and he will appear. Can we pretend it's yesterday?
Yes, we need to pretend it's yesterday. We do.
Can I say yesterday's answer?
Yes. I want that. Yeah.
So I had for breakfast a fish finger sandwich.
Woo!
And it was totally breakfast time in Venezuela. So no, today I did not have. I did have.
Can you provide
breakfast.
the context of the fish finger sandwich?
Oh,
Disgusting.
yes, that's the thing.
Because the context is what makes it awesome.
Well, the context is I was talking to Mitch, as I sometimes do, and he mentioned that he was because he holds our very technical lives in his. But yeah, anyway, I was talking to Mitch, and he mentioned that he was making a fish finger sandwich, and I was like, "Oh my, I have not had one of these in ages." And I mentioned to Carlos, who said he had never ever had a fish finger sandwich, and I felt it was my duty to give him that cultural experience.
Yeah, and you should have kept it that way.
And lo,
The greatest sandwich in life, man.
No, it's
Oh,
not.
It was
Really?
I
good.
like the idea that we're kind of going to have social combat over.
Yeah.
Look, it's a sandwich and it's fish fingers. It's not Marmite. It shouldn't be divisive.
So,
Let's move on.
are there other questions, Mitch?
For it?
The Ferret? It's a pretty cute.
I did not know that was a Pokemon. So
Yes, it
educate.
is. Actually,
Okay.
I think I have it on Pokemon Go, but I don't know where my phone is.
Seeing
It
these
is.
guys again?
Oh,
Oh,
Damn, I can't take that one.
smile or
Damn,
laugh.
Lane, you stole mine.
That is probably a funny video. Oh yeah, a funny video. My family was in Spanish. It translates very badly, but it made me giggle.
Made me laugh was Carlos trying to tutor me in how to read the dice for this game. I mean,
Yeah,
it was,
that
pretty
fun.
game of you. So
Apparently, people can't hear Mitch.
Right, for
They can hear me now.
yeah, we go.
Oops.
Dun,
So
I
in
dun,
fact,
forgot
does
to
that mean-
turn up the thing.
So up till now, we have just been responding to a kind of
Yeah,
Nothing.
unpleasant presence. Okay.
yeah. And for my response to that question, I was a little longer winded.
So the
But,
question was, by the way, what made you smile or laugh
What
today?
made me smile or laugh today? I had to enter into a 2-week quarantine period where I had to with my girlfriend and her parents. And today, I was able to drop off a bit of a thank you, a box of crisps, box of biscuits, and a large sack of flour. Because I work in the bakery, I'm able to get my hands on flour, on decent sized sacks of it.
I love this.
Because at the moment, certainly where we are at the moment,
There's a dearth of flour.
is you can't find it. You
Yep.
can't find it
Yeah.
anywhere.
Cannot find it.
So
That's that
I
flour.
it's a box of biscuits about that big, a similar sized box of crisps, and 16-kilo bag of flour.
Okay,
which
that's
I
a
was
good one.
able to
I'd kill for some
sneak-
crisps right now.
which I was able to sneak to their front door, put it there with a card saying thank you, get out, drive all the way home, and send the message ding dong.
Oh, that's a good. That's good.
And watch
That's
that, watch them go, what? And then video call them just losing their show. It's like, yay!
That's nice. That's a nice.
Yeah. That's what as I was like, you did it. Yes, I did. You were so wonderful. They were just so wonderful to be during those 2 weeks. It was just a token of gratitude. And again, when you can give a 16-kilo bag when you can't find flour anyway, just
Yeah,
do it.
it's something.
I-
Do we have
I
any
know
more
that I've-
questions?
I know that I've smiled at least once during the session with various player interactions, but I can't remember when those were. But probably giving Silas his first stain. I mean, that would be the
Yeah.
thing that brought me some joy
highlight of
today.
the day.
So yeah, sorry. As Carlos was saying, any other questions?
So I think we'll ask one last question, which is Althanes wants to know who people are betting on for the upcoming duel.
Wait, us or characters?
You.
Oh.
As in we people.
You as
me,
human
myself.
beings.
You as human
Right, okay.
beings.
Okay. Right, fine. Immersion, dude, that's all.
I would say maybe Drogo.
Oh, wait,
It's
what's
not
the
who I'm
context of
rooting
betting?
for. No, it's basically what are the odds? And Drogo strikes me as at least a 600-year-old elder. Someone who, according to our house rules, if he frenzies, his pain severity is added to all of his physical pools. That's kind of disgusting.
Yep.
Also, we do know that he has Potence 5, Fist of Cain.
Yeah.
I don't like seeing him frenzy. I know.
Like seeing him frenzy.
Helena- Yeah, me too. But I don't want to see him frenzy against another elder.
I do. Oh, well, I'm
disgusting-
not an elder, probably an ancilla, I don't know. Depends where Wallace sits in the chain of
No,
things.
Helena is an elder, but she is like 400 years old.
But he's not going to stop at Helena if he goes into a frenzy, right? It's just going
No.
to be fun. Yeah, so I could just shove Wallace
Bye.
at him and be done
Yes,
with my
throw
problem.
Wallace,
Yeah.
yeah.
I do like the idea where you're like, "Save us, Wallace."
You're a knight, quick, go!
Personally, I think it's going to be very close, but I reckon Helena has actually been training for this. So, of course, has been training heavily, knowing what she's going by. But Prince Drogo, I don't think really has. So I think Helena might
He's
just
got
have
time on
the
his
edge.
hands. Harold's been doing his job, right? So, like,
I mean, it's also not like she's got specialist knowledge that has been specifically crafted to try and give her the upper edge.
I mean, if
So-
you're asking me, I want Drogo to win, mainly because I kind of don't like Helena's name. It's like a trivial
I
thing,
like-
but
yeah.
yeah.
Deep,
But apart from that,
meaningful reason. Yeah.
yeah.
What about you, Lane?
I think Helena's going to win, and I hope she's going to win. Because otherwise, I'm fucked.
Okay. And I believe, Mitch, you said we were going to move on after this. So
Yeah.
thank you all very much for your questions.
Thank
we do
you.
appreciate them.
Fine.
If we haven't had time to answer one of your questions at this point, do feel free to either make a note of it or put the burden on, I don't know, Mitch, to remember it. And we will try and address it at some point in the next season.
Or just like shoot them at us on Twitter. It's like we've got free time.
Yeah.
No, I'm very busy.
I'm
Obviously.
very busy actually. But,
I've been working
And
a
I
lot.
work for a healthcare charity, so I'm busy. Ask me
I'll reply
questions
when I
in another
can.
month. Yeah.
I'll play as soon as I can. But yeah.
Okay, I
Cool.
shall fade back into the ether.
Yeah.
Bye, Kraken.
All right. So now that Mitch has gone, we will pick up the session. I like the idea that he just fades off to another world and then kind of comes back again occasionally. Right. So we are a couple of days away from the duel. Is anyone doing anything kind of in those couple of nights?
The
I mean-
arrangement
Oh.
is basic. The basic arrangements telling me Yuki that she can contact Isabel for financial aid.
Yeah.
Trying to get actually doubling the security over the domain. Like
Yeah.
I tightened the security over the not our domain, like the Veeams area, like all across all of those domains.
Yeah.
I'm trying to look for an opening or an excuse to get Chen Li to help me in an investigation.
Sure.
I just need something to happen.
Yeah. At the moment, nothing radical has happened, but you are primed for when it does. Can you? You don't have technology, do you? But you do have. If you have an awareness, do you have any awareness, Theodore?
Yes, I do.
Could you make a resolve and awareness check for me?
Yeah, because technology is going to be a tough one, especially being La Sombra.
Yeah.
So you want what? An awareness with what?
Just a resolve and awareness for me. As for the rest of you, is there anything you are doing for the night of
So
first of all?
So I will talk to Theo this time. Otherwise than that, I will wait to be lectured by Rafe on what I'm supposed to do on the evening. But I'm not opening that conversation, so if no one tells me, I'll just rock up on the night.
Sure.
Three successes.
Okay. Let me make.
I mean, also I continue my plans to do over Wallace, but that's a background thing.
Yes. No, I'm aware of that. All right. So.
Yeah, and Silas is gonna spend some time talking with Finn as goes against some other have requested him to, but as well as communicating probably primarily with Mr. Whispers, and trying to really connect with sort of neonates on both sides on both north and south.
Okay, so let's just break that down a little bit. You said you're going to talk to Finn over a couple of nights. Are you trying to just hang out with him? Because I suspect you're trying to persuade him of something. Is that correct?
Just trying to persuade him of of getting him in the same sort of mindset, and very much the same mindset.
Okay. I feel like this might be a conversation we should have, as it's almost certainly going to be social combat.
Oh boy.
So, because you're trying to change his mind, and you know that he is a fervent. I mean, he does love Sir James, of course, but he's also a fervent idealist when it comes to Oxfordshire. So this kind of slightly controversial view is, will be something that is not in Finn's wheelhouse.
Yep.
So you're welcome to try and persuade him. Of course you can.
Yep.
I'm just saying that it will be a thing where you're trying to change his mind.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
Are
well,
you? So you're gonna. So are you just gonna visit Finn yourself and try and persuade him, or do you have something else in?
I think sort of visit when while maybe even a sparring session is going on between the two.
When you say between the two,
between Saras and Finn.
Oh, I see what you mean. So you're having like a practice session. You're doing a bit of training.
Yeah.
I think that's very wonderful and bold of you. So what you want to do is have an argument with at the same time as you're both armed and swinging at each other.
Shit.
Or I know, I love it. It's a perfect brew your discussion scene.
Do it.
So you and Finn, he will have an axe in hand. I assume you have a sword in hand.
Yep.
Are practicing.
Yep.
But it's kind of, it's relaxed. You're kind of doing kind of practice swings and stepping back and forth and going through some fairly, going through forms and that kind of thing. So whilst you're kind of going back and forth, he will probably just say something like, not long now, eh?
No, it's not. How are you feeling about it?
I'm quite excited, to be honest with you.
Yep.
His axe swings and you step back out of the way.
Yep. And
I can't wait to see them fight. I think, to be honest with you, Helena should be saying her prayers. Swings again.
Yeah, and parry coming for a swing of my own. Yeah, although again, she is of the same clan as we are. Yeah, so I think she may have a strong chance.
He jumps back from one of your swings, kind of creating a brief opening between you where he can talk a bit more, and he says, aye, but Silas, there's Bruya and there's Bruya, you know. I mean, we're not like your average Bruya. We're not your...
No.
We're more than that, you know.
We are from Sir James himself.
Aye. And we're part of Oxfordshire. We're part of something greater than ourselves. A lot of Bruya have beliefs and have things they want to do or change, but it's not the same. This is something permanent, you know. It's something great.
That it is, but sometimes, yes, and sometimes, however, and how long has Prince Drogo been as a prince?
Oh, I don't know. He shrugs. Probably around, well, nearly 600 years now. Must be on the way to.
And that's a long time.
That's longer than most people have been alive.
And
I mean, even our kind, it's longer than most of our kind have been alive. And he was alive before that. He is ancient. He is an ancient kindred. And he's kept his grip on the city all this time, and he's created this place where people like us can come. You know, there's no other domain in England, let alone, I mean, not even in I say England, not anywhere, not in the world. But there are so many elders that are together from different clans working this way. This is a tremendous thing he has done.
Yeah, it is tremendous.
Of course, all the knights, the founding knights, they started it together. Of course they did. And wouldn't be what it is without Sir James and Sir William.
But what I'm wondering is, it's been you say 600 years?
I must be coming close to that, aye.
That must be so exhausting for him. And wouldn't it be an idea? Wouldn't it be maybe an idea for him at some point to step back at least for a while, give him some time to move away from the official duties for his.
I'm sure if Prince Drogo wished to take to step away from his duties for a time, he would nominate someone to stand in his place. But that's up to him. It's not our place to judge when the the prince is tired or not.
Ours, but maybe it might be another founding knights. Because again, they founded it together. Surely they should. They should, share the burden of leadership of this incredible place.
Do you know something, Silas? He's kind of rests his axe on the floor.
I'm just thinking, it's a long time, and this is a hell of a moment coming up.
Oh, well, he's not gonna step down just before a duel, is he?
No, he is not. What I'm thinking is afterwards.
Well,
Prince Drogo should pull through, most definitely. But of course, it is a duel. There is every chance. And even if he does pull through, he might become heavily injured.
I don't like all these ifs and maybes you're talking about here. We're talking about our prince. If you know something, Silas, if you know a reason why he should be resting or recovering from something, then you should say so. If there's a reason, then we should talk to the knights about it. But if you don't know something, then you should remember your place. So which is it?
My place is serving Oxfordshire. To serve Oxfordshire. That is my place. And isn't it therefore my place to seek to protect everyone within? No matter, even if they are a station above me, I seek to protect them, protect this city. And again, we do not know what this is going to bring. This is like of the games. I am very glad I did not lose a limb, but that was a possibility. We discussed that.
Okay, so I think at this point, we're going to jump into a round of social combat. I'm going to argue that you are actually making a manipulation and persuasion roll. Because I think Silas is not being completely straight here. He is trying to subtly shift Finn's thinking. Rather than, you're not standing there saying, here's how it is. You're being like, oh, isn't he a bit tired? Isn't he this? Isn't he that? So we're going to say manipulation and persuasion. Yep. Are you using any disciplines?
Yes.
Oh, so obviously there is a slight risk here because Finn also possesses this discipline. He might become aware that you're using it on him. He might not. If he does, he is more likely to be quite upset than just in a conversation.
Yep.
However, if he doesn't realize, you will of course get the extra die.
And I will arouse as well.
Okay.
Because
I like it. I like the high risk strategy.
So manipulation, persuasion, one for the blood, one for blood potency, one for the rouse, two for the presence. Okay, and for manipulation, and just adding so that's a total of 4 for rouse, and with the blood potency. Come on. Shit.
Whoa.
Okay, let's have a little look and see how you did.
Badly.
Yeah.
1 success.
Oh,
but
wow.
plenty of rerollable dice.
Yeah, you might want to re-roll. I don't know. You want to spend some willpower?
Yeah, one of the very few willpower I have.
A total of 2 successes.
2 successes and the rouse check.
Okay.
I don't get hungry.
At least, yeah.
All right. So what happens is, your total is 2 successes.
2 successes.
All right. So he beats you. He has a total of 5 successes and a crit win. So he beats you by a margin of 3, but it's halved down, rounded up to 2. So you will take 2 willpower damage. I'm just going to make a quick roll to see if he realizes that presence on him.
My willpower track is full.
Okay, so you are impaired in the matters of social and mental actions until such time as you recover some willpower.
Hang on a second. Didn't we recover willpower at the beginning of the session?
Yep.
Yeah, you
But
would
I
have
have
recovered super shield. He
I've
has active willpower,
aggravated.
remember?
Yeah.
Oh yes, you have aggravated, and also you
Remember,
have been
also,
burned
I
everywhere.
convinced him how terrible it was he won the games.
I mean,
So-
my track is almost full of aggravated, so
Yeah.
So he he doesn't like lift his axe up or anything, but he does step in kind of closer, and there is a look of kind of fire in his eye, and he says, "Silas, I understand you're scared, but the prince will win this duel. He will win. He always does, and he's a knight of hundreds of years of experience. Okay, Helena's a..." He shrugs. Well, she's not a knight with hundreds of years of experience. Basically, she's going to lose. It will be okay.
Okay.
You'll feel better when it's done, I promise you.
Yeah.
I understand you just want what's best for Oxfordshire. That's why I embraced you. You're a good man. He says, no. Shall we? And he raises his axe again.
yep, go for it.
So you go back into sparring. All right. So, any more for any more?
Are we doing the Theo conversation, or are we not? Are we doing that?
Yes, we can do the Theo conversation. So this assumedly will be at the Haven.
Yes. Unless he,
Mhm.
that's when I'll find him sometime when he's there.
In a beautifully attired room with nice plump cushions, very tasteful wallpaper,
Yes.
and of course many weapons discreetly hidden.
I mean,
and
I'm
great
sure
bits of furniture.
Theodore knows where they are.
And I'm
I,
sure at least one of you knows. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
located.
Someone
So-
else usually fights for me, so I will I'll come in, and I'm gonna go to the drinks cabinet and pour myself a drink. And are you in the room? Theodore, is he in the room? I presume.
Yeah, most likely.
Yeah. Okay. Well, in which case, I'll say, you want a drink?
Yeah, sure.
This is running low.
Sorry.
Come over. This is running low. Come over. I'll say, how many folks have we had over here that even know what this whiskey is, man? Anyway.
Well, we've had your birthday and quite a few, and also Joanne and I had it.
You're right. I should have put this away when Seth came over. There's no way he appreciated what he was drinking. None. But anyway, that's not what
I
I
would
want to
agree.
talk about. Yeah. Have you got a minute just to talk about the request you made to me?
Oh, right. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, if you're okay,
absolutely.
All right.
Just let's step into the office.
I
The war
tried-
room.
Oh, right. Yeah. Wait. Yeah, you're right. It's the office. I can't call it that. I'll go with him into the
Yeah,
office.
but right now I made a request. I'm playing nice to you.
Yes. Okay. You asked me if I could help you out with the situation with the bond,
Yes.
and the answer is yes. Of course I will.
Thank
and,
you very much.
You don't have to thank me, right? We're brothers, so it's the way it should be. You have any idea when you want to do this?
Well, I need at least one more, 2 more people. Well, I'm lying. At least one more person that I can trust, that can help me out. So, well, but I have time right now. Miyuki is under the care and protection of Sir William.
She is. How come?
Um,
Is she all right?
Oh, absolutely. Sir William had a need for someone who with financial knowledge. He knows Miyuki from all the tea ceremonies we've had over the past.
Hey, right.
And now that Naoto has been trying to, I don't know if he's trying to mess with my head or he's plotting anything, but it turns out that Sir William kind of appreciates Miyuki. I mean, after all, over
Of
10
course he
years.
does. He's got eyes, right?
Yeah, and he has had a chance to interact and talk to her over the many tea ceremonies we've had. So I'm not gonna say a friendship has developed there, but at least he cares enough to put her under his care.
He
In exchange
recognizes.
in
recognizes
exchange
that-
for her running some of the business. So right now, I just
Do you need to
Set
handle
it.
your business? I mean, covering over.
well, right now my business actually did really well. We had
good.
a really good upturn.
You
I
had
was
good
not
quarter
expecting.
results.
Yes, we actually I put all the weight I had financially on trying to get some contracts sorted, and then actually we ended up winning a few tenders.
Nice.
We were the preferred bid, and then we went ahead. We signed the contract. We got the payment. So it was incredible. Like
That's great. I'm really happy for you. Why am I just hearing about this now? We
because
need
it
to drink
happened
more often. Right?
because it literally happened a couple of days ago, and I have been signing papers.
Well,
So I wanted to say thanks because it partly came through due to your help, like your
Well-
funding and the money. So I'm paying you every single penny you invested into this, as we agreed, and I still owe you. Thank you very much.
you know as well as I do that is all her work. Just plowing money into something doesn't make it successful, and that's
Yeah.
all I've done.
Yes, and that
So-
is exactly what Sir Wallen's.
Well, she is one of the most astute businesswomen I've ever seen. That is
Yeah,
for sure. And he recognizes that she has more grace and dignity in her little finger than Naoto has in his whole being. So let's just hope. Oh, maybe you reckon when I take Naoto out, I could swing by wherever Sir William is and just have him do something really stupid, and then maybe we just get rid of him for good, right? I mean,
Naoto is smarter than that, but I appreciate the gesture.
you know what? He's not as smart as I am. He might think he is, but he is
Oh,
not.
he definitely isn't. That's the thing. So how
No.
have you been?
Yeah, I'm
And how
alright.
is Adam, if you don't mind my asking?
No, I don't mind you asking.
How are
Thank you
things
for
with him?
asking. He's doing okay. He's no, he's better than he was. I saw him a little while ago, and it was good. It was nice.
Nice.
So there's a lot of things to do before we can go back to how things
Nay,
were.
patience. I also had that conversation along those lines, not exactly that, with Joanne when I told you that we had a drink. Did you hear the news about the Toreador?
No. Oh wait.
So the news is not yet public about
Oh,
the
fine.
Tory.
Okay.
Okay.
No.
So
What news is this?
well, I wouldn't be broadcasting this. I just found fortuitously because I went to talk to Alistair, Barnaby's sire. And apparently the Toreador are being forgiven, but it's not being made public. Of course, we would know as a coterie because we are with Joanne. That's probably why they conferred, like they shared it freely with me.
Because you were there.
Yeah, but that is what I was saying. Patience.
Well, good on her. I mean,
Yeah,
she worked
and
hard.
and Alistair himself, he's going to be able to be unbound by chains and go about and around doing his business. So it's just the same. You and Adam are trying to get things back to normal, but it takes time. And most of it takes patience.
It mostly takes time because I got to be rid of Wallace. So that's not a thing I can do overnight. But otherwise than that, and I tried to have a conversation with him about something else, but he didn't.
With Adam or with Wallace?
Oh, with Adam, I don't want to talk to Wallace.
It sounded weird.
No, what you told me about Miyuki, it set me thinking, because I didn't realize that if you had a bond with another person that it worked that way. So
Yes, it does. It's weird. You are. I remember being like at the beginning, I was not that into the whole Japanese culture and way of life and all that. I did enjoy living in the country. I was very thankful for those who saved me, even though, like, I understood that there was a difference between those who tortured me and those who treated
you
me
say
well.
what now? Sorry, the people who tortured you?
I rarely say this out loud.
Well,
I was in Fukuoka 17, which was a concentration camp. That's how I ended up in Japan, actually. I was dropped in one of the flights in the Pacific, which was flying one of the early helicopters that were used to move cargo between ships. It was not even a combat helicopter or anything. I was sort of like the beginnings of the Navy Air Force. It wasn't long, but it was brutal. But the people who saved my life were also Japanese, so I did not harbor any particular hatred for them. I understood that the people that were waging war were soldiers, not citizens. That's how Amago found. I was a mercenary. I was an enforcer, a gun for hire. But then when he ghouled me and I started drinking his blood, I already admired the man. I ended up loving the man. I wanted to emulate him. I wanted to understand and to know and to grow.
you know, how did you know that it was not real?
Well,
How did you know that? I mean, what if? I mean, how does that? How did you?
it was
So
kind
you-
of
it-
easy because
Why?
I had been living for some years the military life during the war. But before that, even though I was on the very nascent steps of the Air Force, the first aeroplanes and gyrocopters. I mean, at some point we were flying balloons. You know, in the early 1920s, we were still using dirigibles and balloons. So I had all of this upbringing in the West, and I immediately find myself compelled to love and follow and emulate everything that is sometimes contrary to my own culture. The way they treated foreigners, I embraced it, even though I knew I hated the way people looked at me. I embraced it because he saw it as a matter of fact thing, so I started seeing it as a matter of fact thing. I started understanding that there was a divide in between what I felt and liked and what he felt and I was drawn to all of those things. But also I was drawn to him as a person, as a father figure, a lord, a guide, a teacher, a sensei.
But
And
that's
you,
what I'm saying. If it's something you feel, you can't just. I mean, what would even make you think that it isn't a real thing? How would you?
because I was also addicted to his blood.
Right,
You're
but
addicted to them and to their blood. And sometimes it's very simple to see the difference.
you're saying it can't be the same thing.
No. Because sometimes I just wanted to be with him for the sake of being with him. Sometimes it was real, sometimes it wasn't. Most of the time I couldn't tell, but I didn't care. But I always craved for his blood and for his words of acceptance, even if I didn't deserve them.
What
Any
about
word, even if it was a reprimand, I craved for everything. And when you're craving for someone to beat you, just to acknowledge that you are in the room, you know it's not real.
what about Miyuki?
She was also a ghoul.
Right, but
She
did
understood
you
the
love
risks.
her? Did you love her before she was that?
Yeah, actually, we loved each other, despite both being ghouled by different people. The love the love I felt and still feel for her was there and was real, despite me loving a mago, loving his blood, loving serving under him. She loved me even though she loved serving artificially, loved serving Naoto. So having the blood, the call of the blood, and the addiction that it created on us, pulling us towards our sires, or domitors actually, and still find those moments in which the two of us could develop a relationship. It is very precious. It is very rare. After that, I was embraced, and at the beginning, Isabel helped me with the ghouling of Miyuki. She could not stop drinking the blood after I was turned, and I needed to understand how to do the whole process.
What do you mean? It's not just a matter of drinking it? I mean, hypothetically.
Yeah, but at the beginning, I didn't even know.
You didn't...
Like, how to hunt without killing people, how to...
Oh, hunting, right. I thought you meant... Yeah, I mean, blood is blood, right? You just drink it.
Yeah. So I could give Miyuki blood indiscriminately, but then I would need blood and I would hunt, and the chances of things going bad were high. So for the first few months, she took care of it. And as Naoto's grip faded from Miyuki, and as Mago's grip faded from me, we found each other very much in love again, as we have always been. Probably stronger, because now our attention was not distracted. Our thoughts were not with somebody else's. So that's where we struck this deal, in which a decade will pass, and then I will give her full control of her faculties again, so she can choose whether or not she wants to stay with me. And in the future, maybe I can embrace her.
What will you do if she says no?
It would be very difficult. Probably, I would respect her decision, definitely, but I probably would keep her as my goal. I owe her that much. She saved me in more than one occasion. She would be under my care and protection. And try to come up with a plan together. Of course, her being left to her own devices, but I think we will worry if that is what happens. Don't think I'm not scared. She might not feel the same.
You know what? I can't imagine the set of circumstances in which I imagine you would be afraid of anything.
Well,
that is somehow comforting to hear.
There you go. I was human, and I remember I was to be one. I'm still afraid of losing the love of my life.
There is nobody who's not afraid of that.
Yeah.
Listen, that's good advice. I will do my best not to end up in a situation like that.
And it's okay if you do, as long as you know that it might not be healthy for a long time.
Well,
it's better to let emotions run naturally. Sadly, my only choice for her not to die is to run them artificially. But there are ways around it, and you're helping me with this. And for that, thank you.
It's important to me that you can do this. Listen, I have to get off and do some paperwork, but thank you for this.
No. Thank you. You've given me great news. Now I can tell Miyuki when she comes back.
Yeah, give her my best, right?
I will definitely do so. Now I'm going out on a patrol. If you hear anything weird going on, just let me know.
Sure. Yeah. I'll sit here by this radio for sure.
Yes. Thank you very much. And I take one of the walkie-talkies and walk out with a smile, thinking that my super plan of having walkie-talkies works. Failing to acknowledge that smartphones are a thing.
Yeah. I will not sit by the radio. Yeah, I won't sit by the radio. I'll expect
awesome. Yeah. It's a plan that's bound to work. I like it. All right, cool. So what we're going to do then, we're going to jump forward to Wednesday, the 1st of August. I'm sorry to say, Silas, you will not be getting any willpower back in these intervening times.
Yep. So I'm still completely impaired.
I'm assuming that everybody will have been kind of over this general time passes, keeping themselves to kind of hunger 1 in terms of just kind of ticking over. However, I would like you to make rouse checks for the when you wake on the night of the 1st of August. So if you just make a quick rouse check each to see if you are hungry or hungry.
I'm good.
What does that mean?
Basically, if you get a success, it means you are still at hunger 1. If you fail, it means you're at hunger 2.
Did I get a success? No.
No,
I
you
didn't
did
get
not. So you
Okay.
go over.
So I'm hungry.
So you're just
Yeah, me too.
hungrier. Hunger 2.
no.
No, it's not unbearable. It's just you're aware of it. Should
Yep.
there happen to be large amounts of blood flying about, it's going to be more tempting than if you're at hunger 1. That's all.
Quick
Get close to
question, Peter.
Wallace.
Yes.
So I fulfilled my desire of finishing my resources project, but I was at full willpower, with the exception of the 1 aggravated willpower damage that I have.
I'm afraid it will not help your aggravated point, but I tell you what, can you put a mark?
Guys.
Can you put a mark that says desire 1, and we can have a discussion about a possible sub rule, which is if you were to meet a certain number of desires, could we, where you've taken no willpower damage, is there a point to which it could equal effectively 1 aggravated? I'm certainly up for that discussion for a house rule, but we can do that between seasons.
Okay.
Just make a note for now so we remember that it's happening. We'll go for it.
Yeah, I'm changing my desire. I'm just it's to find a 3rd person for the Miyuki.
Oh, for the Miyuki thing. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, and also players obviously do remind me, if you feel you've either met a desire, taken a step towards any of your ambitions, you're always welcome to try and blag.
My desire is always the same, which is all Adam all the time. So I don't feel like I'm going to fulfill that. But yeah.
Yeah, well, no, it just means that when you see Adam, if you've got superficial, you can potentially, if you spend a scene with him that's a nice scene, you can get some willpower back.
Hopefully,
All right,
won't
so-
special combat me.
Yeah, I mean, obviously those are less nice scenes.
Yeah.
So it is going to be once more at the Museum of Natural History, this particular court. You will gather together as a coterie, I imagine, on this night, although probably not until you get there, because Velvet will have to escort Seth to
Shit,
the,
yeah, okay.
to the court. It's fair to say,
I actually go with Velvet just to.
sure.
I take Seth some shitty bottle of whiskey
Okay.
and give it to him, something American.
Okay.
And
He'll say,
yeah.
okay, he'll be like, oh,
Bourbon, probably
thanks,
bourbon.
Vel, that's
I've been here 10
American.
years. I like better whiskey now. Yeah.
You definitely like better whiskey than Seth does.
Yeah, for sure.
So Seth actually will be ready on time for the
Of
particular
course, yeah. Of course, it's a fight.
Of course, he's ready. Like
course
every
he's
time,
there. No fuss.
every time there is the prospect of violence, I go with Velvet because I know he's gonna be.
I don't offer him the chance to drive. I drive myself.
Okay. He will not fight you to drive the car this time. He's actually just quite excited and interested in what's going to happen. He will say, though, in the car, he'll say, you know, do you think Helena's tired of unlife?
Well,
I mean,
she might well be, right? I mean, who the hell else has this good sense to accept a duel like this, right? I mean,
Well,
he's
she
probably
issued
gonna.
the duel.
Well, then she's even more stupid.
I mean,
right,
what is
she's
she gonna
either dumb, or she's clever.
Well,
thanks, Seth. That's insightful.
No, what I'm saying
granted.
is she's either real dumb or real clever, but she ain't nowhere in between. That's what I'm saying.
Well,
I
you
mean,
know what? She's gonna be real dead later on tonight.
it can be that she had no choice. She is the Prince of Reading, and we did go there to get rid of this robber Western guy.
Yeah, remember when you lent me your gun?
Which time?
Well, the first time, I think. Maybe the second time. I can't remember. So
Well,
one of
I
these days,
remember some of them. They kind of blur after a while. So what you're saying, Theo, is that she is real fucked.
Yeah,
Maybe.
I mean, the whole, like, the prince and the knights of Oxfordshire ride into her domain, exact justice on a kindred that had been throwing around slander about Prince Drogo, and then leave. She has no choice unless she risks losing face and the respect of everyone. She would lose her princeship. Everyone on Reading would be asking for blood, demanding blood. And actually, I think she's smart. Probably just trying to decide this with a duel puts the fault on her instead of trying to call both domains into a war that they will not win.
You saying this is some noble self-sacrifice nonsense?
No, I'm saying that she had no other choice, and she's probably trying to win this however she can.
There's always a choice, Theo. You can run away. You have to.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like she's honorable.
You know what they say? He who turns and runs away can run away another day.
Right. You got it, Velvet.
And
And then you can
besides,
come and get your respect back off the floor and, dust it off.
Well, I don't want to go into clan stereotypes, but probably she's doing it because she believes in something.
She's probably doing it because she got mad, lost her temper. You know what these
That
brewery are
seems-
like? Flying off the handle on the slightest thing?
that seems
Not all of
likely.
them.
Oh, all of them. Some of them just do it when no one's watching.
Well, it could be because it's been ages since the last time I saw Silas lose it. It's been
Right, your brewer, he doesn't he have like a workshop or something?
Yeah, he works.
Yeah,
on
that's
his
so we
own
can hit
cars.
things without you guys getting suspicious.
What?
I start laughing. Theo starts laughing. He's like, okay, you got me there. You got
I
me there.
mentally note the fact that somehow Seth's allowed to swear in front of Theo and I'm not. And I will take this up
Talk
with
it up
him
with
later.
Horrible injustice in the
Yes,
world.
exactly.
Cool. So your car journey continues, and of course you will arrive. You'll meet them. Seth is discharged into
the community. Yeah.
and you as a coterie will meet up. You are not expected to escort Reading or do anything on this night. You will know that already from Sir Holder. So is there anything you're saying or doing when you four meet together? Or are you just waiting to see what
Instruction
unfolds?
from the family at all. Because if I don't, then I'll just do my own thing.
It's like, do we have a family instruction?
No, there is no big family meeting. The general view, certainly from Rafe and indeed Enolf particularly, is that this is a duel. You can go and watch it, and you can, be proud of your prince when he kicks the shit out of this jumped up Reading prince. That's the family line, really.
Yeah.
They're not very fussed. They don't seem to see this as a big deal.
Actually, when we're having the Coterie pre-meeting, what I go is like, there's nothing from my clan other than be participating in court. Joanne, I believe you would like to spend the night surrounded by your clan. It is an important night.
I do need to go and see the boonkeeper, though.
God, I know where I'd like to spend the night.
So, Joanne, are you trying to see the boonkeeper before things kick off?
Yes.
Okay. So when you see Gareth, who is quite an unassuming man, he will say, "Oh, hello."
Hello. I was told to come and see you by Alistair.
Right, yes, sir. It's about your boon. I'll just see if Sir Enolf's free. He has been told to expect this, so it should all be all right. If you follow me, and he'll take you. Now, Sir Enolf is also at this court early because he is also quite keen to watch it, and he will look quite upbeat and alert. Nevertheless, he looks unsurprised with the two of you. Actually, no, he does look a little. He looks not unsurprised, but a little wary. And when you're both gathered, he will just say, I won't take much of your time. I just wish to make you aware that, Sir Enolf, that the boon in which you once owed to Alistair, now of Clan Toreador, has been passed down the line of his bloodline to Joanne Salt here. So I will be putting it on the adaptation. He's got like a belt with a load of like metal strips with strange things imprinted into each one, and he will take one from his belt and hold it up to kind of illustrate. the corrections will be made here, and we'll go from there. And obviously, should at any point the boon be discharged, do let me know, and I will see to it that it is struck from the record.
Of course.
He says, well, I won't take any more of your time, and he shuffles away. So Anolf turns to look at you, and he like frowns and looks at you for a while. He says, you are Clan Toriador?
Correct.
I see. And do you have a wish to see this boon paid off now?
Not now in particular, but I do have something I wish to ask of you. After court, possibly. This duel is going to be taking up quite a lot of attention, and we can't really get too much done before it's going to happen.
You wish to speak of the boon after court?
Yes.
Very well. I will... Where do you wish to meet?
Wherever is most convenient for you. We have a haven in the southern Veem, if...
So I will have a room set aside here.
Of course. I think we both want to see this boon struck off, as he said, as soon as possible, so...
He nods to that. And then turns and heads off in the direction of the herald. Right, so whilst you people are obviously coming in, it's a lot of people are in attendance bang on time for this particular court. The prince has not yet arrived, so things are not yet officially in session. The herald is around, and as you all know well by now, he's often around at the beginning just to sort of check that things are okay, and then he'll leave the court and return with the prince when it's his time to come. But generally, often, it's only just before the prince arrives, often the other knights will turn up, yet they are all here in force tonight. And it is a full court, everyone is in attendance. Those of you who are observant for such things, of which there aren't many left in the Coterie, but the reference that I made to Alistair being in a kind of different setup, in that he is already in court. Normally he's brought in with the prince. You may note that, you may not. You may also note that he's not chained. Velvet.
Yes.
You will note a slight difference in this court, which is just that every so often as you pass certain people, it's not an obvious thing, not a big thing, but you might just get a little nod from Brit.
I was just going to, not obviously, but, keep a track of those people who I've been in conversation with.
Yeah, there is this odd sense of now that you have a thing going on, you, Brick, Barnaby, Soap,
the resistance.
The resistance. There's just a little thing between you, a little nod.
Yeah.
And of course, you're all vaguely aware of where Watt is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Usually the other side of the room to me.
Yeah, he is often at the other side of the room. He's often, hanging out with the knights and things. But the other thing that is different that you will note is that there are sometimes kindred that he might go and talk to who don't like that very much. And they are on their own a little bit less than they would normally be. I mean, Wallace doesn't look to be coming your way, but it looks like his opportunities to do it are less than usual.
Well, I will
By
keep...
your way, I mean like Barnaby's way and Soap's way.
A group of us.
And Adam's way.
I'll keep half an eye on who he's interacting with that aren't those people. Just to make a note of it. Also, I'll just make sure I know where Adam is in the room.
He will currently be interacting with the herald. And will be interrupted by Enolf marching over to make some what look to you from this distance, curt demands that the herald will kind of be very obsequious around.
I internally roll my eyes. Yeah. But I remember Theo's words and I don't roll them externally.
Silas, from your point...
Your inner Theo.
You're growing.
Yeah, growing as a person, yeah.
Silas, from your point of view, you will become aware that obviously you're feeling this kind of weight of the fact that you've spoken with Finn, and you're aware how impassioned Finn is at his position. You're also aware how impassioned Marta and Kerstag are in theirs, and you're kind of feeling this horrible sense of a storm brewing amongst your family. It's kind of weighing on you a little bit, but you will get kind of acknowledgement from Mr. Whispers, for example. and Sagansuk who is also there.
Do I see Ota?
You will see that there is kind of a contingent from Tokyo that are all present and are currently all together.
I
If
just
I'm-
walk towards them and sorry, you were saying?
No, go on. Sorry.
Oh no, I just when they are announced or when they are, I just go there to receive Amago Dono.
Sure.
And basically the pleasantries.
Yeah. So you make some pleasantries and small talk. You will be aware, knowing Amago as you do, seems very removed from all of this.
Mm-hmm.
He will make the barest minimum acknowledgement of his
Just for propriety's sake, I just do the.
But Naoto
basics.
will also be very pleasant and polite to you. You will obviously appreciate the levels in which he doesn't enjoy himself, but he will nevertheless be doing that. Ota seems vaguely unaware of all of it and is extremely smiley to both of you. And, you know, it's a sort of vaguely anime comic scene playing out in the background that we won't do.
Yeah, and when Amago and wherever Amago can sit with the elders and all that, and his translator child, Ota must remain behind. So
yeah,
I can chat to him.
One thing that Silas is going to do is Silas is going to try to take note of anything that could be used as a melee weapon if shit really hits the fan and things go and in a stupidly bad way.
Well, all of the knights are carrying melee weapons.
Yep.
As
But of course,
usual.
they'll be using them.
There are a few spare melee weapons, but I'll come to those in a minute. But as you're looking out for them, I'll flag that up when that happens.
I just also want to keep an eye out because I agreed in my party that I would give Silas dating advice. So if I see anybody who looks like they're interested in him, I take a note of that.
Okay. I will keep that in my mind.
Yep.
And may give you some rolls later on that front.
Okay.
So after a while, the herald will come to you, Silas. Are you he will look at you. He'll look you up and down. Are you wearing your badge?
Yes.
He says, it is so good to see. He says, perhaps you could move it a little more. Yourself, I mean, towards the front for when our guests arrive.
Certainly.
So you and Jeffrey find yourself being maneuvered into a position that is very overt and obvious for anyone coming in through the main door. He says, perfect. Absolutely perfect. And then he will kind of go off to bring in the prince.
Making sure to take note of what is nearest to me at that point.
So one thing that is slightly different, Theodore, you will note, is that in some of the previous courts, Amago hasn't been to every court since he's been here, but he has been to several. He tends to, once he was introduced, he will often go and hang out effectively with the knights and the elders. But in this particular court, he is very much in a separate space, not mingling. You're the only person pretty much from Oxfordshire beyond the herald that's come anywhere near them. He's very much kind of created like a ring around his group. And they are not mingling either. They are staying in a separate...
Yeah, it's just territorial speech saying we're neutral.
Yeah. That will be your take on it. Do you have any insight, Theodore?
Yes, I do.
Could you make a, let's say, wits and insight roll for me?
Wits. A very bad roll.
What'd you get? Are you going to willpower it?
No, because I would only be able to die.
Okay.
Like the fact that I have insight does not mean that I have insight.
Yes.
You know?
No, you leave that to me.
What did you get?
Yeah.
Sorry?
What'd you get?
I got one success.
Okay, cool.
I'm not re-rolling.
Nope, fab. So
I only have one die to re-roll.
So the herald will come forward. The prince is brought in along with his normal entourage. You will note, Silas, that one of his entourage is carrying a shield that bears the prince's crest and also a sword but several other of the mortals that often come in his entourage of ghouls are also carrying other weapons and backup should such things become required. So if you suddenly find yourself in need of a weapon, and you think hopefully that the prince won't mind, then there are a number of people carrying weapons you could potentially try and take one off. But there aren't weapons, if you like, in the space itself. Actually, that's a lie. You're in the Museum of Natural History. There are a few antique weapons behind glass cabinets.
Don't you dare.
So if you want to really upset certain characters who have a belief in these kind of things, you could certainly smash a cabinet and grab some ancient weapon.
I see that look on your face. You're thinking about it.
I can feel the thing.
You
in
know it's the
class,
right
and I
thing
was
to
going,
do.
If it
You know
just
it's the
hits
right
the
thing to
fans,
do.
there's no way Cyrus will not.
So the herald will say, "Welcome to this special court. We hope you are all in good spirits. Before we get to the main matter at hand, and I am told that our visitors from Reading are already within our borders and soon to arrive, there are some small announcements. The most important of which is this. In his benevolence and mercy, Prince Drogo has decided that Clan Toreador are to be forgiven for their transgressions, and as such are no longer restricted in their freedoms and enjoy the protections of all other citizens of Oxfordshire. And I do trust you will welcome them back into the fold." And there is obvious, not tons of surprise, because you think quite a few people already knew, but yes, there is some kind of applause and happiness, which Alistair will accept and make a sort of gentle bow. You will note, however, that Barnaby is present. It looks like he has to be present, but he's trying to kind of move as far back as possible. But Alistair just kind of pops a hand at the small of his back, and they both stand there together.
Does Wallace clap this news?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Everybody approves the news because the prince has done it in his benevolence and mercy. So nobody is not clapping it. A space is cleared so that you're kind of in a vaguely oval formation as a group. But the kind of one end of the oval is left empty, such that Readings can fill it. And indeed, they will start to fill it as they arrive, and they arrive in no small number. Those of you who know kind of those of Reading will recognise people like, obviously, the Prince herself. One thing that will strike some of you about the Prince is she is dressed very elegantly in a beautiful gown with an extremely plunging neckline and some very impressive jewellery. How she's going to fight in these shoes is another question. But she looks good right now.
I mourn her dress.
Yes, her dress may not make it.
Because it's not going to make it, no.
Are the Reading game combatants there?
Yes, they are.
I will give them a respectful nod.
Okay. Yeah, Jeffrey will do the same with a little bit less respect. And so Brona will surreptitiously flip you a finger. But Kate will nod back.
I just smile at both.
Yeah, you smile good-naturedly back at her. It doesn't rhyme.
Yep.
Or does it? I mean, she's technically your inferior, having lost here. And she has just flipped you the finger in the middle of court.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
But it's not quite enough because it's a surreptitious finger flip.
Yep.
If she had done it boldly and so that lots of people saw, it would be a frenzy check for sure.
Break her finger
But
off.
it's nevertheless enough for, despite the fact you're feeling a bit battered and down, some part of you is like, I am so much stronger than she is, and if she dares give me that shit, there's that, you feel that flash of anger inside you, but you control it. You're good, you control it. You know that she's too scared to actually do something publicly, and if she did, you would crush her. You know that in your heart. So, there is also, of course, James, the child of Robert Weston, who was the Master of Ceremonies back in the games. He is present. You will see the poor guy who once had to deliver a message and got staked by Drogo, although he's very much at the back.
Fair play.
You will see Amanda is there, who you met once when you went on your trip to Reading. She, again, is very well dressed, much like the prince, very elegantly dressed, not of a modern style. Yeah, and they all gather. The prince regards them all with vague disinterest. You're not sure how much he's even... Like, he's looking at them, they could be anybody. He just doesn't seem to give a shit.
Like all elders, so...
Like
yeah.
all elders, indeed. So when they have been announced and they have gathered and are present, the herald will say, "Welcome to the kindred of Reading, their prince, their many well-known and well-respected kindred, too many to name at this time. The champion, I mean competitors of the game present, we welcome you all. And I am sure you are as keen to see this great contest between the two domains resolved as swiftly and as decisively as we are. So I ask on behalf of the prince if you are ready." And Prince Helena says, "Not quite. I have a question." The herald tries not to roll his eyes, but you definitely see the flicker. He says,
I'm better than the herald.
You are better than the herald.
Yeah.
You win the moral victory. He says, "You may, of course, ask whatever questions you wish. We would be happy to clarify things for you." He says, "Will Prince Drogo be fighting for Oxfordshire himself, or will he be nominating a champion, another to fight in his place?" So the prince does pay attention to this, and you see him grip the sides of his throne, his palanquin, in what certainly, Silas, you're aware of what it's like when someone's basically saying, "Are you going to be brave enough to fight in a duel, or are you going to get someone else to do it for you?" You see the prince have a moment where he is obviously just keeping himself calm. And the herald doesn't even look back at Drogo. He says, "Of course, Prince Drogo is the one that will fight for the honor of Oxfordshire."
I will try and flick Theodore a look at this, try and catch his eye if I can see him at any.
I don't see why not.
Yeah.
I'm just looking very intently to Helena to see where she's going with this. So I'm kind of that sort of raised my antennas, my awareness. I'm on high alert.
Because you are aware, for example, when Sally was going to fight the duel with Rupert, she had Sir Holder fight in her stead. So there is a precedent for this. So Helena will say, "I'm glad to hear it. I will not be fighting for Reading. For, in my opinion, it is not simply a matter of one domain and another domain. It is a matter of respect for the Camarilla itself. So I've requested a champion, and he has graciously accepted. And I would ask that he step forward now." And there's this moment where everyone looks around. You notice as she's talking, as she's kind of talking, her eyes deliberately seem to flick to a couple of the knights. Savvy folk will note that she does look vaguely in Samata's direction. But it is not Samata that steps forward. It is, in fact, not Drogo at all, clenching his chair. It is Imago Takahisa.
Shit.
Okay. And
Oh, What, neutral?
The herald does look back to the prince this time. The prince is no longer in his normal pose. He has risen from his chair. And if anything, looks more together than he did before. And he nods. And the herald says, of course, we are willing to face any who would slur the name of Oxfordshire. And we relish such a noble opponent. Truly, it will make this a memorable event for everyone present, one that will never be forgotten. And he will step back and clear the space. So Imago will move to one side and Drogo will move to the other. Drogo is given it.
Is there any chance for me to approach Sir Enolf
Sir Enolf,
as fast as possible?
you can go and approach Sir Enolf. His attention is very much on this duel, but you can certainly go and over to him if you want to.
I just stand by his side. It's like, I wish I had a moment to talk to the prince before all of this.
Sir Enolf doesn't respond to you.
I was a Mago's sparring partner for 5 decades. I think I know a thing or two of how the man fights.
He says, it is indeed a shame, but it will make the contest fair. Since that is how it should be. So, the two face off. The prince is given a sword and shield. The prince moves to his place in the arena. Imago to his. The Drogo will salute, and Imago will bow. Imago's sword, however, is still currently in its sheath. However, Imago does take a position of readiness to draw it, and watches. Drogo, one moment, is standing at the opposite end of the arena, but in the next, he is flashed forward from his position and is standing directly in front of Imago, his sword swinging down. However, in the moment at which he has blinked, almost faster than the eye can follow, Imago has drawn his blade, and you see that although it is only a minor mark, it has nonetheless cut through Drogo's armor. Immediately afterwards, there is a sort of an exchange of blows, which is swift. You will note that Drogo's blade moves ridiculously quickly, and the blows also look very scary. You know, the kind of thing you would not want to be on the receiving end of, even more than you would an ordinary sword blow, indeed. Nevertheless, Imago, though he is not as fast, seems to move with complete precision, and often very economically. And at the end of this first barrage of strikes, it is Imago who seems relatively unharmed at the end of it, and Drogo, who has been struck several times, blows going past his shield defense. And at the end of that exchange, Drogo flashes again as faster than the eye can follow and is standing kind of at a distance away. You see, those of you, where are your attentions, by the way, folks? Are you purely on the fight? Are you focusing more on one person or another? Are you focusing on anyone outside the fight? Where are you looking?
You're on the room, it's not on the fight.
So you're on the room rather than the fight, Velvet?
I'm totally in the fight.
In the fight?
Yep, Sias is just
in the fight. And
so I'm looking to see if Drogo's movements are impeded as I thought they would be.
They are. And it also strikes you that Imago is fighting as if he knows that. And you will note that he is, despite...
There you go.
Sorry, I was going to say, despite the fact that Drogo seems faster than Imago is not being punished by that as much as he should be. He seems to be deliberately moving in ways that's making it harder for Drogo to strike him with his injuries.
And so, like, as I'm watching that and confirming, like, my knowledge has been put to use, I'll occasionally be looking over to Helena and Amanda.
Okay. So Helena is looking relatively calm, but nevertheless, she is quite intent on this fight. You are aware that not only will Imago die if he loses this duel, but so will she. So yeah, she's quite focused, as is Amanda. You will also note, those of you focused on the fight, the Drogo's wounds suffered begin to heal. And he will then, almost like the moment those wounds close, will leap powerfully across the space and come down with a flurry of very powerful blows. And these ones do reach Imago. It seems that Drogo has altered his fighting style in some way to try and compensate. And Imago takes some fairly serious looking injuries to his upper body. Nevertheless, he does not seem bothered. I mean, he's a vampire after all. He doesn't react in the way that a normal human would. There follow a series of flurries between them. In these, Imago comes off the better. Again, there is a point at which you see Drogo healing some of his... And at the end of that flurry, he again blinks so fast that Imago's blade just cuts the air where he was. So the prince buys himself some breathing time to recover some of his injuries. Imago has not moved, more than a pace from the spot he started. He just seems to return to his position. Whilst the prince is recovering in this way, Imago just seems to be watching, very, very still, very, very focused. So those of you who are just watching the fight, you become aware that although the prince has kind of healed in his wounds and Imago seems focused, there is this weird sense. It's hard to put your finger on what it is, but this sense that the prince is doing something, but it's hard to put your finger on what it is. Nevertheless, he is looking at Imago very intently, but not just like, Theodore, you wonder, is he trying to kind of intimidate? Is he trying to force himself? There is some other thing that he is trying to do. Silas, you'll be put in mind of Gansuk talking about different battles going on. Drogo is definitely trying to do something, but exactly what it is, you don't know.
I start without taking my eyes from the fooling around, but not in an obvious way.
Are you trying to go anywhere in particular?
Yes, I want to be close-ish to Imago's entourage. Because if Imago falls, it'll be me decapitating now to immediately.
I see, yes, excellent. So you're moving in play now, so decapitation position, gotcha.
Yeah. I just need something, but I might use my teeth.
Joanne, you think, in fact, probably all of you are starting to think that are watching the fight, that the prince is starting, although you can't see a lot of him, he's starting to move slightly differently. He's starting to look like someone his movements just seem a little less controlled than they were before. Whatever it is he seems to be trying to do to Imago does not have any dramatic or obvious effect. And perhaps in frustration, the prince leaps in what even to your eyes seems like quite a bestial manner, that Imago sidesteps and brings a strike across the prince's back with his blade. This display of bestialness actually is the first thing to break Imago's expression. He's been completely calm throughout. You will see, particularly you, Theodore, and Joanne, a look of disdain, of disgust at this kind of display, kind of breaks his mask. And for a moment, it's like that reserve the two of them have been holding shatters. And they start to just go at each other very, very quickly indeed, without losing some of that form, becoming more aggressive and bestial in the way they fight. There is a kind of weird, almost embarrassment that seems to fall across the knights, because their prince is starting to increasingly fight in a way feels a little bit like the beast might be running this fight.
I soak this up. Since I'm watching them.
But there is also, you will know, Theodore, a slight embarrassment, because whilst it's not nearly as bad as Drogo, Imago has also lost his composure a little bit. It is a little bit, for Imago, this is actually quite embarrassing. Nevertheless, at the end of this flurry, the various wounds that Drogo has been collecting seem to be adding up. And looks like he's holding himself now with increased effort. You, Joanne, will note that a majority of the wounds that Imago is dealing Drogo are focused on the side that he is already injured. in a kind of a flurry of supernatural anger, the prince throws his arms out, and his shield flies from one arm, and his sword skitters across the ground very noisily in the other. And he clenches his gauntleted fists in unhidden rage and starts to swing for Imago.
Has the sword
And-
got anywhere near me? But just out of
Sorry, say again?
Has the sword scattered anywhere sort of close to where Silas is? Just
Yes, it's on your side of things.
okay.
Should you want to, I don't know, pick up the prince's sword for some dramatic purpose, you can totally do that. It would mean stepping into the ring because it's still currently in the ring.
Hell no.
Do it.
In his rage, the prince is, if anything, faster than he was before. And there is a blur of movement. But when it comes to an end, you will see his fist protruding from Imago's back. And he has hit him in the front. He has gone through the samurai armor on both sides and through his body. You, Joanne, will note not through his heart, luckily, but nevertheless through his chest. Imago staggers back from that attack, doing his best to fend off Drogo. Drogo, if anything, becomes even more enraged, even more bestial at this point, and you realize if he wasn't letting the beast run free before, he certainly is now. It is everything Imago can do in his injured state to hold the prince back, and he's being forced further and further, kind of, he's no longer rooted to his spot. There is a look, you notice, Velvet, because you're looking at the room as much as anything else, that passes between Helena and the Herald.
And the Herald.
And the Herald. Neither side looks to be completely confident in this exchange of looks. Both sides, but it will strike you that they take their eyes off the fight, and it's the opposite that they look at in that moment. The other thing that you will notice, because Theodore, you've now moved around to a position, but you will notice, Velvet, is that Enolf is starting to look a little odd. He's starting to shake. Odd.
Okay,
He's starting to shake his head and mutter something under his breath. He's looking like a man who is watching a horror movie, and that man is someone who does not like horror movies. He looks like he is being shaken to his core by what he is seeing. All of the knights look troubled, but Enolf looks like he is really on the edge. You will also notice that Sir Francis has moved as close as she can to the arena without stepping into the arena. And she is holding her flail at her side. She's leaning very slightly forward, like if there is the slightest centimeter she can squeeze without breaking the rules, that is exactly what she is doing. And there is a tension growing in the room.
Can I go to Wallace?
Yes, you can go to Wallace.
Sure. Okay.
Is there anything you wish to do when you get to Wallace, or do you just want to be nearby?
Do you want to point out to him what's happening with Sir Enolf? Because I'm hoping that Enolf will lose his shit, and if Wallace is nearby, it might work in my favour.
But when you point this out, Wallace, who has been fixated on the combat, it takes him a moment. He's almost going to like dismiss you, but when he kind of hears your words and looks, he just goes. He goes to Sir Enolf immediately to be at his side.
Silas will will glance at his bloodline, and particularly Sir James.
Sir James is very hard to read, but he is just watching. He looks unhappy. That much is clear. More than that, it'd be hard to say.
I will follow Wallace back to Sir Enolf.
You follow Wallace towards Sir Enolf.
Yeah.
I'm going to move a little bit around the room, kind of a little bit closer to Reading, but not like the Reading kindred, but not enough to make me look suspicious.
Okay, you edge to the kind of the land between the two.
Yeah.
You will see, Silas, sorry, you said you were going to you're paying attention to James. You will also note that Samata seems to be trying to catch James's eye, though he's not giving her the pleasure at the moment, but she is definitely trying to do something about it as well.
I'm looking for something that can be used as a stake or a weapon, preferably stake, but anything else works.
There are quite a few banners and posts and things like that that you could break to make a
Cool.
stake.
The closest one, I just stand next to it.
Sure. So you're doing that, but it's on the side where Naoto is.
Yes.
Gotcha. So, as I say, the prince is clearly letting the beast do the talking at this point, and Imago is struggling to hold him back. At one point during the conflict, Drogo managed to grab Imago by the arm, and he rips the arm clean off its socket and just throws it across the arena. Imago now is carrying himself at a slightly odd angle. You can actually see the hole through his chest if you care to look, because it's quite large. You can see him missing a limb. However, despite all of this, he somehow manages to still remain functional on some level. It's quite a remarkable thing. The prince is not finished by any stretch, and in this moment reaches forward for Imago's other arm. And in that moment, Imago takes a half step back, and his blade flashes out once more, and taking Drogo's head clean off its shoulders. There is the briefest moment of silence as Drogo's body, and obviously he's wearing armor, so it's kind of uncomfortably loud in this space, which echoes a lot as he hits. But it is only a brief moment of silence, because moments, or even as it happens, you hear this scream, barely human scream of anguish and horror. And Enolf breaks from where he's standing, knocks Wallace aside, and runs to where Drogo has fallen. Helena begins very slowly, very kind of calmly, to move from her position into a place where she could potentially address the assembled. Is anyone doing anything I should know about in this instant?
I'm rolling for frenzy.
Okay.
I'm gonna look to Theodore, because he's the person who I think is most likely to put himself in a compromising position in this situation.
Okay.
So I will be trying to do whatever I can to stop that from happening.
This is a timely time potentially to look at Theodore. Did Theodore? What were you passing? What were you frenzying about? What was your
Fury frenzy? He's the lord I gave an oath to. So my lord dies, I'm supposed to. Well, in an ideal world, I would be supposed to avenge him. But it looks like a fair duel. So the manner is settled, but it doesn't sit right with Theodore. That this is the way with trickery that it happened.
Yes.
Having a Mago break bread with the enemy and getting to see his, he had an advantage. Helena, this is on Theodore's behalf, not the combat itself, but the whole setup was very distasteful and, quite frankly, disgusting, spineless, slimy. I mean, this, if the herald was not involved in it, I would have thought he had a part. Like, had he not been personally bothered by this result. So anyone who was involved in this thing, they're actually worse than the herald, which is something that I think I wouldn't say otherwise.
So the key question is, does Theodore pass his?
I had 5 successes.
So what happens is, when you look at Theodore, you see he is standing very rigid, gripping himself, holding himself in check. You are aware that he is having a moment of forcing himself to do so. You're also aware that this is the case in lots of places in the room. There are many kindred here who are forcing the beast not to take them over, fighting to keep themselves from losing it in this moment.
Does anyone that I care about look like they're losing this fight?
No, not in
Okay,
this
fine then.
moment. No, they are not. Enolf is on his knees, trying to kind of cup Drogo's body to him, trying to grab at Drogo's head and almost like put it back on the body. He is weeping blood openly. He's barely coherent. He's speaking very fast in German. You think maybe he's praying, but he is distraught with grief. You're aware, Velvet, as you're looking around, you don't necessarily care about people, but you'll be aware that Sir Francis has just sunk to her knees.
I mean, I don't necessarily care, but I also am a religious man. So it depends. I suppose it depends if I think that if I can intuit from what Enolf is doing that he's praying, that I might do something in relation to that. But if I just don't, because obviously I don't speak German, so if that's not what that's not how I can perceive it.
Do you have any academics?
Yeah, loads.
So I'm going to say you can maybe get a guess from the kind of the cadence and the kind of way prayer that it is a prayer. You won't know what the prayer is, but you'll
That's
know
okay.
that.
But it's a thing of religious. It's a religious thing.
Yes,
Okay.
you will be able to. You'll be able to ascertain that.
Okay, fine. In which case, I will approach where the two of them are.
So you move into
Towards
the
Sir
space.
Enolf, yeah.
Yeah, Sias has been looking towards seeing what happens, seeing what's happening.
What with Kerstag and Marta?
Kerstag, Marta, Drogo.
Well, nothing radical is happening beyond the fact that Finn and Kerstag and Felix all look like they are trying to calm Sir James. That's basically what they are doing. They are just kind of talking to him quietly, trying to just make sure that he is calm. Sir James looks very unhappy, but he does not look like he's about to lose it. However, he does look like someone who is concentrating very hard. You will notice that his fists are clenched at his side. And he's not saying anything or doing anything, but not frenzying at this point. He's just standing there. Marta, you think, is saying something, but you don't think she's saying it in quite the way, which may or may not be helping. As I say, though, Helena has moved forward, and of course, people give her attention. I say people, Enolf doesn't, obviously, Sir Francis, many don't, but the majority of people here do. Amargo will draw himself up despite his injuries. He will give a bow to where his opponent has fallen. He will then give a much lesser bow in Helena's direction and move back to his entourage. And indeed looks like he's just going to leave entirely. Helena will say, "This is a time of grief, and I will leave you to it. In 1 month, I will return. And those of you who wish to remain as citizens here will swear to me. And those of you who do not will leave. But until that time, you are free to remain as you are. Say your goodbyes. Make your peace, such as it is." And then she turns to look at the herald. "But someone must mind the city in my stead whilst I am gone. You have always been the voice of the prince here. And until I return and make things different, you will be my voice. You will swear your allegiance now to me. And for reasons I am sure many will understand, you will drink as well.
What does the herald do?
The herald moves forward like an invisible hand is pushing him. But he does force himself to walk forward.
I start walking towards Helena and I raise my...
You raise your voice.
Yeah. Does he have to do it? Why him, a citizen of Oxfordshire, is not given the same option as everybody else? If you are fair and just, you will see this is not fair and just to him.
She says, I am not giving every citizen of Oxfordshire control of this city in my name whilst I am gone.
Doesn't he have a choice on that as well?
He has a choice. It looks as if he is making it, and I would advise you to let him do so.
I just stare at her. See what the herald does.
The herald moves forward. And when they're close, she says, do you acknowledge me as your prince? And he says, I acknowledge you as the winner of the duel. He says, that was not the question. Do you, before all these people, acknowledge it? And he says, yes, I do. Then kneel and swear your allegiance. And when we are all satisfied that your allegiance is to me, then I will leave you and your people here to grieve. Safe in the knowledge that the city is looked after by one who is loyal to me. He says, I swear to look after Oxfordshire in your name for this month until such time as you return. She says, very good. Now, she holds out her hand. Drink. He says, my word is not enough for you. She says, if it was, I would not ask. And there is a moment of oof as the status in the court is very strange now. And of course, there are those of Oxfordshire who bristle at the herald being insulted in this manner. But also, she's technically now the prince. And there is all the people of Reading there. And however you work all of this out, certainly being insulted at this point publicly is a pretty painful thing to take. And the herald does seem to feel it. And he also does not seem, he seems quite deflated. And he will take her proffered arm. And he will drink a few drops, nothing more. When he has licked it clean, she says, so be it. I will return in 1 month's time. Let us all keep our peace until then. And with that, she will turn, and when she files out, those of Reading will also all file out, leaving a weeping Enolf and a crumbling prince. The body now, it's not even enough to keep the armor in shape. Such is the age of the kindred involved. And the more it kind of decomposes and collapses, the more Enolf screams and moans and is beside himself. And on that, sorry? I was going to say, and on that happy note, we are going to draw session 10 and indeed season 2 to a close. So thank you very much, as always. I believe we have one for Silas.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Remorse.
First one I've ever had to make.
So a single stain.
you got this. Come on.
You got 2 dice.
Yeah, there
There
you
you
go.
go.
Both successes.
So you do feel it, perhaps particularly because you were kind of plotting a bit against the guy and now he's died. It makes it feel worse somehow. But yes, Silas will feel some remorse about what he's been doing, and his humanity will remain intact. So, as I say, thank you very much to the players. Thank you to
Thank you.
Mitch for being fabulous. As we
you,
mentioned,
Mitch.
we're going to be running a series of Blood on the Tamesis memoriams. So these are one-shots set in the same world, but also in the same location, just at different points in history. Our first one is going to be set in 1452, and very much hope that you'll all be able to join us there for that. We're already kind of well on the way with characters and getting everything in place, and I'm already very excited about what we have in store. So unless there is anything else, I am going to bid you all a good week. Don't forget, stay safe, wash your hands. Love you lots. See you soon. Bye.
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 Thank you for watching this episode of Blood on the Tamesis. If you'd like to keep up with all the latest news, follow us on Twitter and Facebook. And remember, if you want to join us live, be sure to tune in every Monday at 7 p.m. UK time on Twitch. Or you can catch up on YouTube and our podcast. And a special thank you to our supporters on Patreon and all of you beautiful disaster ghouls. We will see you next time.